Alina Voss stood trembling in the private closet of Chicago's most dangerous man, clutching his silk shirt to her mouth to muffle her sobs. For 8 months, she'd been the perfect secretary. Invisible, efficient, untouchable. But tonight, terror won. Her 19-year-old sister was gone, taken by monsters who wanted $500,000 she'd never have. When the door opened and Cassian Rourke found her there, mascara streaking her face, his expensive suits damp with her tears, everything changed. He didn't ask what was wrong. He just looked at her with those cold gray eyes and said, "Who took her?" Follow this story to the end. Hit like and comment with the city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has traveled. Alina's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She'd been gripping the edge of Cassian Rourke's mahogany desk for the past 6 hours, answering calls with a voice that didn't waver, scheduling meetings with fingers that typed perfectly, smiling at visitors with a face that showed nothing. 8 months working as his executive secretary had taught her one rule above all others: never let him see you break. But that was before the text message. Before the photo of Nessa, blindfolded, wrists zip-tied, mouth taped shut, arrived at 3:47 p.m. with 3 words beneath it: "You have 48 hours." Alina had excused herself to the restroom, locked the door, stared at her reflection until the woman looking back became a stranger. Then she'd walked past the restroom, past the break room, past the conference hall where Cassian's men stood like statues in expensive suits, and slipped into the one place no one was allowed: his private closet. It was ridiculous. A closet. But it was dark and quiet and smelled like cedar and expensive cologne, and for 30 seconds she just needed to not exist. That's when the crying started. Not delicate tears, ugly, choking sobs that clawed their way out of her chest like they'd been trapped there for years. She grabbed the nearest thing, a charcoal suit jacket, and pressed it against her face, muffling the sounds that would get her fired, or worse. Nessa, her baby sister. 19 years old with her whole life ahead of her, taken because their father couldn't stop gambling even when cancer was eating him alive. He'd died 3 months ago owing money to people Alina had never heard of, and she'd thought the debt died with him. She was wrong. The door opened. Alina froze, the suit jacket still pressed to her mouth, mascara burning her eyes. Cassian Rourke stood in the doorway, backlit by the office lights, and for a moment neither of them moved. He was tall, 6'3", maybe more, with dark hair that always looked like he'd been running his hands through it, and a face that belonged on old Roman coins. Sharp, brutal, beautiful in a way that made you forget to breathe. He wore power like most men wore cologne, suffocating and impossible to ignore. And right now he was staring at her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. "Miss Voss?" His voice was quiet, too quiet. "What are you doing in my closet?" Alina tried to speak. Nothing came out. She lowered the jacket slowly, aware of how insane she must look. Red-eyed, shaking, surrounded by his clothes like some kind of unhinged stalker. Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I'll go. I'm sorry." She tried to move past him. His hand shot out, catching her wrist. Not hard, just enough to stop her. "Try again," he said. Alina looked up at him. Those gray eyes were unreadable, but there was something in them she'd never seen before. Something almost concerned. "It's personal," she managed. "It won't affect my work. I promise. You're crying in my closet at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday." His thumb brushed the inside of her wrist, probably feeling her racing pulse. "It's already affecting your work." She should pull away, should apologize again and leave and never speak of this. But she was so tired. Tired of holding it together, tired of being alone, tired of pretending she could fix this by herself. "My sister," she whispered. "They took my sister." Cassian's expression didn't change, but his grip on her wrist tightened fractionally. "Who?" "I don't know, men. They sent me a photo. They want money, $500,000. The words tumbled out now, unstoppable. "It's my father's debt. He died owing them, and I thought it was over, but they took Nessa, and I don't have that kind of money. I don't even have 50,000. I don't know what to do." She was crying again. She couldn't stop. Cassian stood there watching her fall apart, still holding her wrist. And then he did something that short-circuited her brain completely. He pulled her against his chest, It wasn't gentle. It was firm and decisive, like everything else he did. One arm around her shoulders, the other hand cupping the back of her head, holding her there while she sobbed into his shirt. "Breathe," he said quietly. "Slow. In through your nose." Alina tried. Failed. Tried again. Good. Again. His hand moved in slow circles against her back. She focused on that, on breathing, on the solid warmth of him, the steady beat of his heart under her ear. When the crying finally subsided into hiccups, he didn't let go. "Show me the message," he said. Alina fumbled for her phone with shaking hands, pulled up the photo, watched Cassian's face as he looked at her baby sister, bound and terrified. His expression went absolutely flat. "When?" he asked. 3:47. "Instructions?" "They said they'd send them." Her voice was hoarse. "Tomorrow morning." Cassian handed back her phone. His hand returned to her back, that steady pressure that was somehow the only thing keeping her upright. "Who knew about your father's debt?" he asked. "I didn't even know about it until after he died. The hospital bills, the funeral. I went through all his papers trying to figure out how to pay for everything. I found betting slips, loan agreements, letters from people I'd never heard of." She swallowed hard. "I tried to contact them, tried to explain he was dead. They never responded. I thought they'd written it off." "How much did he owe?" 200,000. Originally, with interest. She couldn't say it. "500,000, Cassian finished. "And they took your sister as collateral." Alina nodded against his chest. She felt him take a breath, felt something shift in the way he was holding her, like he'd just made a decision. "Come with me," he said. He guided her out of the closet, down the hall, past the main office, where two of his men, Ronan and Marcus, looked up sharply. Cassian ignored them. He took Alina into his private office, closed the door, and sat her down in the leather chair across from his desk. Then he poured her whiskey. "I don't drink," Alina said automatically. "Tonight you do." He pressed the glass into her hand. All of it. She drank. It burned going down, but the warmth helped. When she finished, Cassian took the glass and refilled it halfway. Set it on the desk in front of her. "I'm going to ask you questions," he said. "You're going to answer them honestly. Understand?" Alina nodded. "Does anyone else know about this? Friends? Other family?" "No. Nessa is all I have left." "Good. Who have you told about working here?" The question caught her off guard. My sister. A few old college friends." "Why?" "Because whoever took her knows exactly who you work for." Cassian leaned back against his desk, arms crossed. "This isn't about your father's debt. Not anymore." Alina's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" 200,000 plus interest doesn't equal 500,000. Not in 3 months. They're inflating the number because they know you work for me. They think I'll pay it. "But why would they think that?" Cassian looked at her for a long moment. Something flickered in his eyes. Something dark and possessive and barely controlled. "Because for the past 8 months," he said quietly, "I've been watching you." The room tilted. Alina gripped the arms of the chair. "Every morning you arrive at exactly 7:52, Cassian continued, his voice still that dangerous quiet. "You drink black coffee. You skip lunch when you're stressed. You take the red line home and you always sit in the third car. You visit your sister every Sunday. You haven't dated anyone since you started working here." "How?" Alina's voice came out as a whisper. "How do you know all that?" "Because I made it my business to know." He pushed off the desk, moving closer. "Because the first day you walked into this office, you looked at me like I was a man instead of a monster, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since." Alina couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Cassian crouched in front of her chair, putting them at eye level. "Someone's been watching you too," he said. "Someone who knows you matter to me. They took your sister to get leverage, not just money. Control." "I don't understand." "You don't have to." His hand came up, cupping her jaw with a gentleness that didn't match the violence in his eyes. "All you need to know is this. I'm getting Nessa back, and whoever took her is going to wish they'd never heard your name." "Cassian?" She didn't even realize she'd used his first name until it was out. "This isn't your problem. You're my secretary. That makes it my problem. I'm not worth $500,000. Something dangerous flashed across his face. Don't. Don't what? Don't tell me what you're worth. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. You have no idea. The door burst open. Ronan Vale, Cassian's second in command, stood there looking like he'd just run up 6 flights of stairs. We've got a problem, he said. Mikhail Draven's at the door. Says he wants to talk. Cassian went very still. Draven. Yeah, with 8 men. He's not here for a social call. Alina watched Cassian's expression turn to stone. He stood, straightening his shirt, and for a moment he was nothing but cold calculation. Put Alina in the secure room, he said. No one gets near her. Wait. Alina stood on shaking legs. Who's Mikhail Draven? Cassian looked at her. The man who took your sister. Then he was gone, Ronan right behind him, and Alina was left standing there with her heart trying to climb out of her throat. Tick. The secure room was a windowless box with a couch, a minibar, and cameras in 3 corners. Ronan had deposited her there with orders to stay put, then locked the door from the outside. Alina sat on the couch and tried not to throw up. Mikhail Draven. She'd never heard the name before tonight, but the way Cassian said it made her skin crawl, like he was talking about a disease, something infectious and deadly. Her phone buzzed. She grabbed it with shaking hands, expecting another horror from the kidnappers. Instead, it was a text from an unknown number. Ask him about the Treaty of St. James. Ask him what he traded for peace. Alina stared at it, typed back, Who is this? No response. She paced the room, checked her phone every 30 seconds. Imagine Nessa alone and terrified, wondering if anyone was coming for her. 20 minutes later, the door unlocked. Cassian walked in looking like he'd aged 5 years. There was a cut above his left eyebrow, fresh, still bleeding, and his knuckles were scraped raw. What happened? Alina demanded. We talked. He went to the minibar, poured himself whiskey, drank it in one swallow. Your face is bleeding. I'm aware. He poured another drink, stared at it. Draven confirmed he has Nessa. Relief and terror hit Alina simultaneously. Is she okay? For now. Cassian's jaw tightened. He wants to negotiate. Then let's negotiate. I'll sell everything I own. I'll take out loans. He doesn't want money anymore. The way he said it made Alina's blood run cold. What does he want? Cassian looked at her. 3 things. $500,000 in cash, control of the Southside ports, and 1 night alone with you. The room spun. No, Alina heard herself say. No. He can't. That's not. I told him to go to hell. Cassian set down his glass with enough force to crack it. I told him if he touches you, I'll burn his entire organization to the ground and make him watch. But Nessa, I'll get Nessa back without trading you. He moved toward her, and Alina saw the barely controlled rage simmering in his eyes. Do you understand me? You are not a bargaining chip. You are not collateral. You are mine, and no one gets to touch what's mine. The possessiveness in his voice should have scared her. Instead, it lit something warm and desperate in her chest. Why? She whispered. Why do you care? Cassian stopped inches away, close enough that she could see the flecks of silver in his gray eyes, close enough to feel the heat radiating off him. Because I've spent my entire life building walls, he said quietly. And you walked through every single one of them like they were made of paper. He touched her face, just his fingertips tracing her jaw. I was 15 when I watched my mother die, he continued. Rivals broke into our apartment, made me watch while they beat her to death. I couldn't stop them, couldn't save her. I was too weak. Alina's breath caught. I swore that day I'd never be weak again. Never let anyone close enough to hurt me. Never care about anything I couldn't control. His thumb brushed her lower lip. Then you showed up in a gray suit with your resume and your perfect posture, and you looked at me like I was capable of being good. Cassian, I'm not good, Alina. I've done things that would make you run screaming. I've hurt people, killed people, built an empire on blood and fear. His hand cupped her face fully now. But when I'm near you, I want to be. I want to be the man you see when you look at me. Alina reached up, covering his hand with hers. Then be that man. Help me save my sister. I will. The promise in his voice was absolute. But you need to trust me. Can you do that? She should say no, should recognize this for what it was, a dangerous man making dangerous promises. But Nessa was running out of time, and Cassian was the only person who'd ever made her feel like she wasn't drowning alone. Yes, she whispered. Cassian's eyes darkened. For a moment she thought he might kiss her. Instead, he pressed his forehead to hers, just breathing. I'm taking you home with me, he said. My penthouse. You'll stay there until this is over. I can't just... You can. You will. He pulled back slightly. Draven knows where you live. He's probably watching your apartment right now. You're not safe there. What about my things? Ronan will get them. Give him your keys. It was happening too fast. Alina's brain couldn't keep up. This is insane. Yes. Cassian's mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Welcome to my world. Okan. The penthouse was in the Gold Coast, 43 floors above the city, all glass and steel and money, with views that made Alina's knees weak. Cassian guided her inside with a hand on the small of her back, and she tried not to gawk at the marble floors, the modern art, the furniture that probably cost more than her yearly salary. Guest room is down the hall, he said. Second door on the right. Bathrooms attached. Ronan will bring your things within the hour. Alina turned to face him. What happens now? Now I make some calls. His phone was already out. I have people who owe me favors. We'll find where Draven's keeping Nessa. And then? Then I get her back. How? Cassian looked at her. You don't want to know. He was probably right, but Alina was tired of being protected from ugly truths. Tell me anyway. For a moment she thought he'd refuse. Then he sighed, running a hand through his hair. Draven runs a syndicate out of the industrial district. Gambling, trafficking, extortion. He's been trying to expand into my territory for years. I've kept him in check through mutually assured destruction. He gestured vaguely. We don't touch each other's operations. We don't poach each other's people. It's worked. Until now. Until now. Cassian's expression went dark. He broke the treaty by taking Nessa. That means the old rules don't apply anymore. So what, you just go to war? If I have to. He said it like it was nothing, like declaring war was equivalent to ordering coffee. Alina's hands were shaking again. She clasped them together. People will die. Yes. Because of me. No. Cassian crossed to her in 2 strides, taking her face in both hands. Because Mikhail Draven is a greedy bastard who thought he could use you to get to me. This isn't your fault. It feels like my fault. I know. His thumbs stroked her cheekbones. But you need to let me handle this. Can you do that? Alina wanted to say yes. Wanted to trust him completely. But that text message kept nagging at her. Ask him about the Treaty of St. James. What's the Treaty of St. James? She asked. Cassian went very still. Where did you hear that? Someone texted me. While you were talking to Draven. Show me. She pulled out her phone. Cassian read the message and his face turned to granite. Draven, he said quietly. Playing games. What treaty? Cassian handed back her phone, stepped away. When he spoke, his voice was carefully controlled. 5 years ago, I was at war with the Volkov family. Russian mob. It was bad. Bloody. A lot of people died. He paused. They had a daughter, 18 years old. They offered her in marriage to end the war. Alina's stomach dropped. What did you do? I said yes. He wouldn't look at her. We signed the treaty at a church in St. James. I married Katerina Volkov to stop the killing. You're married? I was married. The correction was sharp. For 6 months. Then she died in a car accident. Brakes failed on the highway. Oh my God. It wasn't an accident. Cassian's hands clenched at his sides. Her father had her killed. He blamed me for making her miserable. Maybe he was right. Alina didn't know what to say, didn't know how to process this. Did you love her? No. The word was flat. I barely knew her. She was terrified of me. The whole marriage was a political move. When she died, I felt... He trailed off. Relieved. And that made me a monster. You're not a monster. You don't know that. Yes, Alina said firmly. I do. Cassian finally looked at her. How? Because a monster wouldn't care about saving my sister. A monster wouldn't have held me while I cried. A monster wouldn't look at me the way you're looking at me right now. Something cracked in his expression. Alina. His phone rang. Cassian answered it, listened for 10 seconds, then his whole body went rigid. When? He demanded. Pause. Where? Another pause. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up, looked at Alina. They found where Draven's keeping Nessa, he said. Warehouse in Bridgeport, heavily guarded. Relief flooded through her. So we can get her. It's a trap. Cassian's voice was ice. Draven wants me to come. He's counting on it. I don't care. We have to try. Alina, she's my sister. Tears burned her eyes. I don't care if it's a trap. I don't care if it's dangerous. We're going. Cassian studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. We're going. But you stay in the car. Non-negotiable. Fine. I mean it. If something goes wrong, I'll stay in the car. She stepped closer. Just promise me you'll bring her home. Cassian's hand came up, tangling in her hair. I promise. Then he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was hard and desperate and tasted like whiskey and violence. Alina gasped against his mouth, and he swallowed the sound, kissing her deeper. His other arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her flush against him. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. When this is over, he said roughly, you and I are going to have a very long conversation about what happens next. Alina nodded, unable to form words. Cassian's thumb traced her swollen lower lip. Stay alive, Alina. That's all I need from you. You too. He smiled. It was brief and dangerous and made her heart stutter. Then he was moving, grabbing his phone, calling Ronan, barking orders. Alina followed him to the door where 4 men were already waiting, all armed, all looking at Cassian like he was about to lead them into hell. Maybe he was. The drive to Bridgeport took 18 minutes. Alina sat in the back of the SUV with Cassian, watching the city blur past. He hadn't let go of her hand since they left the penthouse. When we get there, he said quietly, you stay in the vehicle. Ronan will stay with you. If shooting starts, if anything goes wrong, he gets you out. Understand? Yes. Say it. I understand. Cassian squeezed her hand. Good. The warehouse loomed ahead, a crumbling brick structure surrounded by chain-link fence and sodium lights. 3 black cars were parked outside. Men stood near the entrance, smoking and talking. Cassian's driver, a stone-faced man named Victor, pulled up 30 yards away, cut the engine. Report, Cassian said into his phone. A voice crackled back. 8 visible. Probably more inside. Nessa Voss confirmed on the 2nd floor. Northeast corner. Condition? Alive. Conscious. Scared, but unharmed. Cassian glanced at Alina. She's okay. Alina's eyes burned. Thank God! Ronan, you're on Alina. Anything happens, you get her out. Copy, Ronan said from the front seat. Cassian turned to Alina, cupped her face. I'll bring her home. Then he was out of the car, moving toward the warehouse with 3 men flanking him. Alina watched him approach the guards, saw them tense, saw weapons appear. Then Cassian said something, and one of the guards made a call. 30 seconds later, Mikhail Draven stepped out of the warehouse. Even from a distance, Alina could tell he was dangerous. Tall, broad-shouldered, with slicked-back hair, and a smile that made her skin crawl. He spread his arms in mock welcome. Cassian said something. Draven laughed, said something back. Then Draven looked directly at the SUV, at Alina, and blew her a kiss. Cassian moved so fast Alina almost missed it. His fist connected with Draven's jaw, sending the man stumbling back. Draven's guards raised their weapons. Cassian's men did the same. Shit, Ronan muttered. This is going south fast. We have to help him, Alina said. We stay here, boss's orders. On the street, Cassian and Draven were circling each other like wolves. Draven was talking, smiling, taunting. Cassian's expression was murderous. Then Draven said something that made Cassian go absolutely still. Alina's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He just offered Cassian a deal. Your sister's freedom in exchange for one-on-one combat. Old rules. Winner takes everything. Her heart stopped. What does that mean? Ronan had gotten the same message. His face was pale. It means trial by combat. Ancient criminal tradition. Both sides agree to settle disputes through a single fight. Winner's terms are law. What happens to the loser? Ronan didn't answer. He didn't have to. On the street, Cassian extended his hand. Draven shook it. The deal was made. Cassian turned and walked back to the SUV. When he opened the door, his expression was unreadable. Change of plans, he said. In 3 days, Draven and I fight. If I win, Nessa goes free and your family's debt is erased. If I lose, he paused. Everything I own becomes his, including protection over you. Alina's blood ran cold. No, you can't. It's done. His voice was final. 3 days, then this ends. What if he kills you? Cassian's smile was all teeth. Then I'll die knowing I tried to save the woman I love. The words hit her like a freight train. What? But he was already giving orders to Victor, and the SUV was moving, and Alina was left sitting there with her heart in pieces and 3 days on the clock. 3 days until Cassian Rourke fought for her sister's life. 3 days until he either saved them all or lost everything. And there was nothing Alina could do but wait and pray he survived. The penthouse felt like a cage. Alina paced the living room for the 4th time in an hour, her bare feet silent against the marble floor. Outside, Chicago glittered 43 stories below, oblivious, indifferent. Inside, she was trapped with her own thoughts and the steady ticking of a clock that was counting down to Cassian's possible death. 3 days, 72 hours. She checked her phone again. No messages from Nessa's kidnappers. No updates from Cassian, who disappeared into his study the moment they'd returned from Bridgeport 2 hours ago. Just silence and the weight of what he'd said in the SUV. Then I'll die knowing I tried to save the woman I love. Alina pressed her palms against the floor-to-ceiling window, feeling the cold seep through the glass. Love. He'd said love. Like it was simple. Like loving her was worth dying for. She didn't know what to do with that. The study door opened. Cassian emerged looking like he hadn't slept in days. Tie gone, shirt sleeves rolled up, hair disheveled from running his hands through it. There was a freshness to the cut above his eyebrow, like he'd been touching it without realizing. You should be resting, he said. So should you. Alina turned to face him. How long have you been in there? Long enough. He moved to the bar, poured himself 2 fingers of whiskey, drank half of it. Ronan's coordinating security. Victor's tracking Draven's movements. We'll know if he tries anything before the fight. And if he does? Then I'll kill him early. Said like he was discussing the weather. Alina crossed her arms. You can't just... Can't what? Protect you? Cassian set down his glass with more force than necessary. That's exactly what I'm going to do. By getting yourself killed in some barbaric fight? By ending this. He moved toward her, and Alina saw the exhaustion in his eyes, the fear he was trying to hide. Draven's been looking for an excuse to come after me for years. Now he has one. The only way to stop him is to beat him. What if you can't? I will. You don't know that. Alina, you don't. Her voice cracked. You're gambling your life on a fistfight with a man who has nothing to lose. What happens if you're wrong? What happens to Nessa? What happens to... She stopped herself. To you? Cassian finished. His hand came up, cupping her jaw. That's what you're really afraid of. What happens to you if I lose? I'm afraid of losing you, she whispered. Is that so hard to believe? Something shifted in his expression, softened. You barely know me. I know enough. Elena covered his hand with hers. I know you held me when I was breaking. I know you declared war for my sister. I know you kissed me like I was the only thing keeping you alive. Cassian's thumb brushed her lower lip. You are. Then he was kissing her again, and this time it wasn't desperate. It was slow and searching, like he was trying to memorize the taste of her. Alina melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Cassian rested his forehead against hers. I need to train, he said quietly. Starting tomorrow. Draven's younger than me, faster. I can't afford to be unprepared. Then let me help. He pulled back slightly. How? I don't know. Something. Anything. Alina's hands were still tangled in his shirt. I can't just sit here waiting for you to die. Cassian studied her face for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, tomorrow you help. Tonight you sleep. I won't be able to. Try anyway. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. For me. Alina wanted to argue. Instead, she let him guide her down the hall to the guest room, where Ronan had deposited her hastily packed bag hours ago. Cassian paused at the door. If you need anything, I know where to find you. She managed a weak smile. 2 doors down. His mouth curved. Good memory. Occupational hazard. Executive secretaries remember everything. Is that what you still are? My secretary? The question hung between them, loaded with everything they hadn't said. Alina didn't know how to answer, didn't know what she was to him anymore, if she'd ever been just an employee at all. I don't know what I am, she admitted. Cassian's hand came up, his knuckles brushing her cheek. You're mine. That's all that matters. Then he was gone, and Alina was alone in a guest room that cost more than her annual rent, trying not to think about what would happen in 3 days. She didn't sleep. Morning came gray and cold. Alina gave up on sleep around 6, showered, and emerged to find Cassian already in the kitchen drinking black coffee and staring at his phone like it had personally offended him. Trouble? She asked. He looked up. Something flickered in his eyes when he saw her. Surprise, maybe, or appreciation. She'd borrowed one of his shirts, a white button-down that fell to mid-thigh, and her hair was still damp from the shower. Draven's playing games, he said. Sent a video. Alina's stomach dropped. Of Nessa. See for yourself, Xiam. He turned the phone toward her. The video was 30 seconds long. Nessa sat in what looked like a basement, still blindfolded, still bound, but she was talking, answering questions from someone off camera. What's your sister's name? Alina. Nessa's voice shook. Alina Voss. Where does she work? I don't know exactly. Some office downtown. Does she have a boyfriend? Pause. No, she doesn't date. She's too busy taking care of me. The video cut off. Alina's hands were shaking. Why would he ask her that? Because he's establishing that you're not involved with anyone, building his case. Cassian took back his phone. When I win, he wants to be able to claim I only fought for you because of professional obligation, not personal attachment. Keeps him from looking weak. That's insane. That's politics. He finished his coffee. Get dressed. We're going to the gym. Now? Training starts now. Numb. The gym was in the basement of the building, a private space accessible only by key card. Alina followed Cassian through the door and stopped dead. It wasn't a gym. It was a training facility. Heavy bags hung from reinforced beams, a boxing ring dominated the center, weights lined one wall, and in the far corner a man was methodically beating the hell out of a speed bag. Ronan Vale turned as they entered. Boss? Miss Voss? Clear the ring, Cassian said. I need to see what I'm working with. Ronan's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Concern, maybe. You sure that's a good idea? You haven't sparred in months. Then I'm overdue. Cassian was already stripping off his shirt. Alina tried not to stare. Failed completely. He was all lean muscle and old scars. A roadmap of violence carved into skin. A puckered bullet wound near his left shoulder. A long slash across his ribs. Smaller marks she couldn't identify scattered across his torso like constellations. He caught her looking. Still think I'm not a monster? I think you're a survivor, she said quietly. Something crossed his face. Surprise, gratitude, pain. Then it was gone, replaced by cold focus as he climbed into the ring. Ronan followed, wrapping his hands. How hard? Hard enough to matter. Cassian, Alina started. Stay there. He pointed to the edge of the ring. Watch, learn. If you're going to help, you need to understand what I'm up against. Alina wanted to argue. Instead, she climbed onto the ring apron and sat, legs dangling. The first punch came fast. Ronan's jab snapped out, catching Cassian on the jaw. Cassian's head rocked back, but he didn't retreat. He countered with a right hook that Ronan barely dodged. They circled each other. Ronan feinted left, then drove a fist into Cassian's ribs. Cassian grunted, absorbed the impact, and retaliated with a combination that forced Ronan back. "You're slow," Ronan said. "Draven won't give you time to set up." "Then make me faster." Cassian wiped blood from his split lip. They went again. Harder this time. Ronan wasn't holding back, and Alina watched in horror as he landed blow after blow, ribs, stomach, face. Cassian took the punishment and kept coming, relentless and brutal. After 20 minutes, both men were breathing hard. Cassian's face was swelling, his ribs already bruising. Ronan looked barely winded. "Enough," Alina said. She didn't realize she'd spoken until both men turned to look at her. "We're not done," Cassian said. "Yes, you are." She climbed into the ring, moving between them. "You can't train if you're unconscious." "Alina, look at yourself." She grabbed his hand, pressed it to his split eyebrow. "You're bleeding. You need ice and rest, not more punishment." Cassian stared at her. Then slowly he lowered his hand. "Fine. 20-minute break. 2 hours. 30 minutes. 1 hour. Final offer." His mouth twitched. Almost a smile. "You drive a hard bargain, Miss Voss." "Occupational hazard." She echoed his words from last night. Ronan cleared his throat. "I'll get ice." He disappeared, leaving Alina alone with Cassian in the ring. She guided him to sit on the edge, then examined the damage. The cut above his eye had reopened. His lip was split. Bruises were already forming along his ribs. "You're going to get yourself killed before Draven even touches you," she said. "I need to be ready. You need to be alive." She touched his face gently, angling his head to see the damage better. "What happened to you?" "These scars." Cassian was quiet for a moment, then, "The bullet was when I was 19. Rival gang tried to kill me. Didn't work." "Clearly. The slash across my ribs, that was later. Knife fight in an alley. I won, but barely." His hand came up, covering hers. "The smaller ones are from broken glass, barbed wire, whatever I could find growing up. I wasn't born into money, Alina. I clawed my way here." "I know." "Do you?" His eyes searched hers. "Do you understand what I am? What I've done to get here?" "I understand you're a man who's been hurt." She leaned closer. "I understand you're scared of losing." "I'm not—" "Don't lie to me." Her voice was soft but firm. "You're terrified. I can see it in your eyes. You're afraid Draven's going to beat you, and Nessa's going to die, and I'm going to hate you for failing." Cassian's jaw tightened. "What if I do fail?" "Then we figure out another way." Alina's hands framed his face. "But you don't get to die for me, Cassian. That's not how this works." "Then how does it work?" "You fight, you win, and then we figure out what the hell this is between us." His hand settled on her waist, pulling her closer until she was standing between his knees. "And if I want to know now—" "Know what?" "What you feel. For me." Alina's heart hammered against her ribs. "I thought that was obvious." "Say it anyway." She took a breath. "I feel like I've been waiting my whole life for someone to see me. Really see me. Not the perfect secretary, or the responsible sister, or the girl who has everything under control. Just me." Her voice cracked. "And you see me. You see all the broken parts I try to hide, and you don't run." Cassian's grip on her waist tightened. "Because I'm just as broken." "I know." She pressed her forehead to his. "Maybe that's why this works." He kissed her then, slow and careful, mindful of his split lip. Alina tasted copper and coffee and something deeper, something that felt like hope. When Ronan returned with ice packs, they broke apart. But Cassian didn't let go of her hand. Boy, the next 2 days blurred together. Cassian trained like a man possessed, 6 hours in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, 2 before bed. Alina watched every session, learned to wrap his hands, to recognize when he was pushing too hard. She iced his bruises and counted his breaths and stayed up with him when nightmares woke him at 3 a.m. They didn't talk about what would happen if he lost. There was no point. On the second night, Alina's phone rang at midnight. Unknown number. "Hello? Alina Voss?" A woman's voice, accented, Russian maybe. Who is this? A friend or an enemy? Depends on your perspective. A pause. I understand Cassian Rourke is fighting Mikhail Draven for your sister's freedom. Alina's blood ran cold. What do you want? To offer information. Draven's planning to cheat. What? The fight's supposed to be fair, one-on-one, no weapons. But Draven has men positioned around the warehouse. If he starts losing, they'll intervene. Why are you telling me this? Because I hate Mikhail Draven more than I hate Cassian Rourke. The woman's voice was bitter. And because your sister doesn't deserve to die for your father's mistakes. The line went dead. Alina stared at her phone, heart racing. Then she ran. Cassian was in his study, poring over blueprints of the warehouse where the fight would take place. He looked up sharply when she burst in. We have a problem, she said. She told him everything. Cassian listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with every word. Son of a bitch, he said finally. He's going to stack the deck. Can you still win? Not if I'm outnumbered. He slammed his hand on the desk. Draven knows I'll come alone. That's the whole point of trial by combat. One-on-one. Honor among criminals. His laugh was harsh. What a fucking joke. Then don't go alone. Cassian looked at her. If I bring men, I violate the terms. Draven walks away with everything. And if you go alone, you die. Those aren't acceptable options. Then what do you suggest? Alina's mind raced. The woman said Draven has men positioned. She didn't say they'd act immediately. Maybe we can turn that against him. How? What if we expose his cheating in front of everyone? Cassian went still. The fight's not private. Every major faction in Chicago will send witnesses. If Draven's caught breaking the rules, he loses all credibility. Exactly. But we'd need proof. His eyes narrowed. We'd need to catch his men in the act. So we set a trap. Alina moved closer. Use me as bait. Absolutely not. Cassian, no. He stood, towering over her. I'm not putting you in the line of fire. You don't have a choice. I'm already in the line of fire. At least this way we control it. Alina, listen to me. She grabbed his shirt, holding his gaze. If you go into that warehouse alone and Draven's men kill you, what do you think happens to me, to Nessa? We're dead anyway. This is our only shot. Cassian's hands came up, covering hers. I can't lose you. Then don't. She pulled him down until their foreheads touched. Fight smart. Win dirty if you have to, but win. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then Cassian exhaled slowly. Tell me your plan, he said. The morning of the fight dawned cold and clear. Alina woke to find Cassian already gone, a note on his pillow. Training. Back by noon. Don't do anything stupid. She almost laughed. Too late for that. Ronan appeared at 8 with breakfast and a grim expression. Boss told me the plan. And? And I think you're both insane. He set down a tray of coffee and toast. But it might work. High praise. I mean it. If we can expose Draven's cheating in front of the other factions, he's done. His reputation's everything. Without it, he's just another thug with delusions. Ronan paused. But if something goes wrong, it won't. If it does, he continued, you do exactly what I tell you, when I tell you. Understand? Alina met his eyes. I understand. Good. He handed her a coffee. Drink. You'll need the caffeine. At noon, Cassian returned looking like a coiled spring. He showered, changed into dark clothes, and spent 20 minutes checking weapons with Victor. Alina watched from the doorway, her stomach in knots. Nervous? Cassian asked without turning around. Terrified. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. He holstered a knife at his ankle. Remember the plan. You stay in the car until Ronan gives the signal. If shooting starts, you run. Don't look back. Don't hesitate. Just run. Cassian. He crossed to her in 2 strides, framing her face with both hands. Promise me. I promise. He kissed her hard. I love you, he said against her mouth. In case I don't get another chance to say it. You will. Alina's hands fisted in his shirt. You're going to win, and then we're going to have that long conversation about what happens next. His smile was brief and fierce. Deal. The warehouse looked worse in daylight. Crumbling brick, broken windows, rust eating through the chain-link fence. A dozen cars were already parked outside. Representatives from every major faction in Chicago, here to witness history. Alina sat in the back seat of the SUV with Ronan, watching Cassian approach the entrance. He moved like a predator, all controlled violence and deadly calm. 8 men stood guard at the door. They parted to let him through. How long? Alina whispered. 20 minutes to set up. Then it starts. Ronan's hand was on his weapon. Stay alert. Alina counted her heartbeats, watched the warehouse windows. Waited. 15 minutes in, her phone buzzed. Unknown number, northeast corner, second floor, 3 men, armed. Ronan. He was already reading the same message. That's our confirmation. Draven's men are in position. So we move? We move, Ronan spoke into his radio. All units, we're green, northeast corner, second floor, 3 tangos. Move in quiet. Through the SUV's window, Alina watched as 4 of Cassian's men detached from the crowd and slipped around the building's perimeter. Silent, professional, deadly. 5 minutes later. Tango's neutralized. We have evidence. Ronan exhaled. Phase 1 complete. Inside the warehouse, something crashed. Shouting erupted. Then silence. What was that? Alina demanded. Fight started early. Ronan was already moving, opening the car door. Stay here. Like hell. She followed him out. Alina, I'm not waiting in the car while Cassian dies. She pushed past him. Let's go. Ronan swore but didn't stop her. Together they ran toward the warehouse, where the shouting had turned to roaring, a crowd baying for blood. The interior was chaos. A makeshift ring had been set up in the center, surrounded by men in expensive suits watching like Roman senators at the Colosseum. And in the ring, Cassian and Mikhail Draven were trying to kill each other. Draven was bigger than Alina expected, 6'4", heavily muscled, moving with a boxer's grace. He landed a brutal combination that snapped Cassian's head back, drawing blood. The crowd roared. Cassian absorbed the hit and countered with a vicious uppercut that lifted Draven off his feet. More roaring. Alina pushed through the crowd, Ronan at her back. She could see everything now. The blood, the sweat, the savage beauty of 2 apex predators fighting for dominance. Draven caught Cassian with a knee to the ribs. Cassian grunted, stumbled, and Draven pressed the advantage with a flurry of punches that drove him into the ropes. He's losing, Alina whispered. No, he's surviving. Ronan's voice was tight. Watch. Cassian took the punishment, protecting his head and ribs, waiting. Then Draven overextended on a haymaker, and Cassian moved. He slipped inside Draven's guard and drove his elbow into the bigger man's throat. Draven gagged, staggered back. Cassian followed with a knee to the stomach that doubled him over. The crowd's roar changed pitch. Bloodlust to appreciation. Cassian grabbed Draven's hair and drove his face into his knee. Once, twice. Blood exploded from Draven's nose. That's for taking her sister, Cassian snarled. He threw Draven across the ring. The bigger man crashed into the ropes, barely staying upright. Then Draven smiled, blood on his teeth, madness in his eyes. He raised his hand, and from the second floor, where Cassian's men had supposedly neutralized the threat, gunfire erupted. Alina screamed, the crowd scattered. Cassian dove for cover as bullets tore through the ring, but the shots weren't aimed at him, they were aimed at her. Ronan tackled her to the ground as the wall behind them exploded into brick dust. Stay down! More gunfire. Return fire from Cassian's men, shouting, chaos. Through it all, Alina saw Cassian rise from behind cover, saw him look directly at her, saw the absolute terror on his face. Then she saw the man behind him, one of Draven's guards, somehow still armed, raising a pistol at Cassian's unprotected back. Alina didn't think. She grabbed Ronan's backup piece from his ankle holster, aimed with shaking hands, and fired. The recoil nearly broke her wrist. The bullet went wide. But it was close enough to make the guard flinch, enough to give Cassian the split second he needed to turn and put the man down with 3 precise shots. The warehouse went silent. Cassian stood in the center of the ring, breathing hard, surrounded by bodies. Draven was on his knees, blood pouring from his nose and mouth. "Yield," Cassian said quietly. Draven spat blood. "Fuck you." Cassian's hand shot out, wrapping around Draven's throat. "Yield, or die. Choose." For a long moment, Draven just stared at him. Then, barely audible, "I yield." Cassian released him, turned to face the crowd, the witnesses from every faction, now emerging from cover with weapons drawn and expressions ranging from shock to admiration. "Mikhail Draven violated the terms of combat," Cassian said, his voice carrying through the warehouse. "He positioned armed men to intervene. He broke the oldest law we have." "Prove it," someone shouted. Victor stepped forward, holding up a phone. "We have video. 3 of Draven's men on the second floor, armed and ready to fire on command." He played the footage. Clear as day, Draven's men in position, waiting for the signal. The crowd's murmur turned ugly. "The fight was rigged," someone else said. "Draven's a cheat." "Worse than a cheat," Cassian said. "He's a coward who hides behind men with guns because he knows he can't win fair." He looked down at Draven, still kneeling in a pool of his own blood. "You lose," Cassian said. "Everything. Territory, reputation, protection." He paused. "And Nessa Voss goes free. Now." Draven's expression twisted with rage, but he was surrounded by hostile witnesses, his own men neutralized, his credibility destroyed. "Where is she?" Cassian demanded. For a moment, Alina thought Draven would refuse. Then he laughed, a broken, bitter sound. "Basement, southeast corner." He spat more blood. "Enjoy your victory, Rourke. It won't last." Cassian nodded to Victor, who disappeared with 3 men. Then he turned and walked straight to Alina. She was still on the ground, Ronan's gun loose in her hand, shaking so hard her teeth chattered. Cassian crouched in front of her, his face swollen and bloody, and gently took the weapon away. "You saved my life," he said quietly. "I missed. You made him flinch. That's all I needed." His hands framed her face. "You're incredible. I'm terrified." "I know." He pulled her up into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. "It's over. You're safe. Nessa's safe. It's over." Alina buried her face in his chest and let herself believe him. What? Nessa was in the basement, exactly where Draven said. Bruised but alive. Conscious. When Victor cut her bonds and removed the blindfold, the first thing she said was, "Where's Alina?" "Here." Alina pushed past the men, falling to her knees beside her sister. "I'm here. You're safe. It's over." Nessa stared at her, then at the men with guns, then at Cassian, standing in the doorway with blood on his face and murder in his eyes. "Who?" Nessa's voice cracked. "What the hell is going on?" "Long story," Alina managed. "I'll explain everything. Just come here." She pulled Nessa into her arms and held on tight, feeling her sister shake with delayed shock and relief. Over Nessa's shoulder, she met Cassian's eyes. He looked at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. And in that moment, Alina realized with absolute certainty that nothing would ever be the same. She'd crossed a line tonight, fired a weapon, nearly killed a man, stepped into Cassian's violent world without hesitation. There was no going back. The question was, did she even want to? The hospital smelled like antiseptic and fear. Alina sat beside Nessa's bed in the private room Cassian had arranged, watching her sister sleep under the influence of sedatives the doctors had administered 3 hours ago. Nessa's wrists were bandaged where the zip ties had cut into skin. Her face was pale, hollowed out by 4 days of terror. But she was alive. That was all that mattered. Except Alina couldn't stop seeing the gun in her own hands, couldn't stop feeling the recoil that had rattled through her bones, couldn't stop hearing the sharp crack of the bullet leaving the chamber, aimed at another human being. She'd missed, but she'd fired. That was the part that wouldn't leave her alone. The door opened quietly. Cassian entered carrying 2 cups of coffee, his face a canvas of fresh bruises. His left eye was swollen nearly shut. His split lip had been glued together. He moved like every breath hurt, but he still crossed to her and pressed a cup into her hands. "Drink," he said. "I'm not thirsty." "Drink anyway." He sat in the chair beside her, close enough that their knees touched. "You haven't eaten or slept in 18 hours. Neither have you. I'm used to it." His hand found hers, lacing their fingers together. You're not. Alina stared at their joined hands. His knuckles were raw, some of them split open and bleeding through the bandages Ronan had applied in the car. She traced one gently with her thumb. Does it hurt? She asked. Everything hurts. He said it matter-of-factly. But we won. That's what matters. We almost died. Almost doesn't count. His thumb stroked the inside of her wrist. You saved my life tonight, Alina. Do you understand that? If you hadn't fired, if that guard had gotten off a clean shot, I'd be dead. I missed. You made him hesitate. That's all I needed. Cassian lifted her hand to his mouth, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. You're braver than you think. I'm terrified. I know. That's what makes it brave. Nessa stirred in the bed, mumbling something unintelligible. Both of them froze, waiting to see if she'd wake. She didn't, just rolled onto her side and fell back into drugged sleep. What are we going to tell her? Alina whispered. The truth. She'll never look at me the same way. Good. Cassian's voice was firm. She should know what you did for her. She should know you went into hell and came out the other side. I don't feel like I came out. Alina pulled her hand free, wrapping both arms around herself. I feel like I'm still there. Like I'll always be there. Cassian was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood, moving to the window that overlooked the Chicago skyline. Dawn was breaking, pink and gold bleeding across the horizon. When I was 15, he said quietly, I watched my mother die. I told you that. What I didn't tell you was that I killed the men who did it. Alina's breath caught. Took me 2 years to hunt them all down. 5 men. I was 17 when I put a bullet in the last one. He didn't turn around. I thought it would make me feel better, thought revenge would cure the poison inside me. It didn't. It just made me realize I was capable of things I'd never imagined. Cassian, you fired a gun tonight for the first time in your life. You crossed a line you can never uncross. And you're sitting there wondering if that makes you a monster. Now he did turn, and his eyes were fierce. It doesn't. It makes you human. It makes you someone who loves her sister enough to do the unthinkable. What if I'd killed him? Then you'd have killed him. Cassian moved back to her, crouching so they were eye level. And I'd still be here. I'd still love you. Nothing changes that. Alina's eyes burned. How can you say that so easily? Because I've spent 15 years believing I was unlovable, that the things I'd done made me untouchable. His hands framed her face. Then you looked at me like I was worth saving, like all the blood on my hands didn't matter. If you can do that for me, I can sure as hell do it for you. She kissed him, hard and desperate, tasting coffee and copper and something that felt like salvation. Cassian made a rough sound against her mouth, pulling her closer until she was practically in his lap. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Alina rested her forehead against his. What happens now? She whispered. Now we go home. We let Nessa heal. We figure out what normal looks like. I don't think I remember normal. Then we'll make a new one. He kissed her softly. Together. They released Nessa 6 hours later with instructions to rest, eat, and follow up with a therapist. Alina signed the discharge papers while Cassian arranged for a car. Victor drove them back to the penthouse in silence, and Nessa spent the entire ride staring out the window with an expression Alina couldn't read. When they finally reached the penthouse, Nessa stood in the living room looking like she'd been dropped onto an alien planet. This is where you live? She asked Cassian. Yes. And you're... What exactly? Her boss? It's complicated, Alina said quickly. Complicated how? Nessa turned to face her sister. Because from where I'm standing, you work for a man who just killed 3 people to get me back, and I'm trying to figure out if I should be grateful or terrified. Both, Cassian said. If you're smart. Cassian, Alina started. No, she deserves honesty. He moved to the bar, poured himself whiskey. I run an organization that operates outside the law. I've hurt people, killed people. I'm not a good man, Nessa. But I love your sister, and I will burn this city to the ground before I let anyone hurt her, or you. Nessa stared at him, then at Alina. You're in love with him? Alina's throat tightened. Yes. How long? I don't know, months maybe. I didn't realize it until... She stopped herself. Until men with guns kidnapped me? Nessa's laugh was sharp and brittle. Great foundation for a relationship. Nessa, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. My sister's dating Chicago's scariest crime lord, and I got kidnapped because of it. Normal Tuesday. She pressed her hands to her face. I need to lie down. Alina showed her to the guest room, the same one Alina had used days ago, which felt like a lifetime now. Nessa sat on the edge of the bed, shoulders hunched. I'm sorry, Alina said quietly. I never meant for any of this to touch you. But it did. Nessa looked up, and her eyes were wet. Dad's debt touched me. Your job touched me. Everything you tried to protect me from, it found me anyway. I know. Do you? Nessa's voice cracked. Do you have any idea what it was like? Being tied up in a basement, listening to men talk about what they'd do to me if you didn't cooperate? Wondering if you'd even try to save me, or if you'd just cut your losses and run. The words hit Alina like a physical blow. Of course I tried to save you. I would have done anything. You did do anything. You got involved with a criminal. You fired a gun at someone. You became someone I don't even recognize. I'm still me. Are you? Nessa wiped her eyes roughly. Because the Alina I knew didn't date dangerous men. She didn't work for the mob. She didn't shoot at people. I'm still your sister. I don't know what you are anymore. Nessa lay down, turning her face to the wall. I need to sleep. We'll talk later. Alina stood there for a long moment, feeling something crack inside her chest. Then she left, closing the door quietly behind her. Cassian was waiting in the hallway. He didn't say anything, just pulled her into his arms and held her while she fought not to fall apart. She hates me, Alina whispered. She's scared. There's a difference. What if she never forgives me? Then you live with it. His hand moved in slow circles against her back. But she will, eventually. She just needs time. Alina wanted to believe him. Instead, she just held on tighter. What? 3 days passed in tense silence. Nessa stayed in the guest room, emerging only for meals that she picked at without eating. Alina tried to talk to her, tried to explain, to apologize, to bridge the gap that had opened between them. Nessa responded with one-word answers and hollow eyes. On the 4th day, Alina's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then something made her pick up. Hello? Miss Voss. A man's voice, smooth, cultured, unfamiliar. We need to talk. Who is this? A friend of Mikhail Draven, or rather, someone who used to be a friend, before Cassian Rourke destroyed his reputation and took everything he owned. Alina's stomach dropped. What do you want? To meet. 1 hour. Navy Pier. Come alone. Why would I? Because I have information about your sister, about why she was really taken, and about what Cassian Rourke isn't telling you. The line went dead. Alina sat there staring at her phone, heart hammering. She should tell Cassian, should let him handle this, but something in the man's voice made her hesitate. What Cassian Rourke isn't telling you. She thought about the Treaty of St. James, about Cassian's dead wife, about all the things he'd admitted to and all the things he hadn't. She thought about Nessa's accusation. You became someone I don't even recognize. Then she grabbed her coat and left. Navy Pier was cold and empty at 2 p.m. on a Thursday. Tourists clustered near the entrance, but Alina walked past them to the far end where the lake stretched out gray and infinite. A man stood by the railing, tall, maybe 60, with silver hair and a face that belonged in boardrooms. He wore an expensive suit and an expression of calculated interest. Miss Voss, he said as she approached. Thank you for coming. You have 60 seconds before I leave. Direct. I like that. He extended a hand. Marcus Kane. I represent several business interests in Chicago. Alina didn't shake his hand. You said you had information. I do. Kane lowered his hand, unbothered. About your sister's kidnapping, specifically about who orchestrated it. Mikhail Draven orchestrated it. Draven was a pawn. Kane smiled. The real architect was someone much closer to you. Alina's blood ran cold. What are you talking about? Cassian Rourke needed a reason to go after Draven, needed leverage to destroy him publicly without starting a full-scale war, so he manufactured one. That's insane. Is it? Kane pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. This was taken 3 weeks before your sister's kidnapping. Recognize the people? Alina looked. Her vision blurred, refocused. It was Cassian, meeting with 3 men in what looked like a parking garage. One of them was clearly Draven. The others she didn't recognize. So he knew Draven, she managed. That doesn't prove anything. Look at the timestamp, 3 weeks before the kidnapping. Kane swiped to another photo. This is from 2 weeks before. Same location. This time Cassian's handing Draven a file. Another swipe. 1 week before. Cassian and Draven shaking hands. Alina's hands were trembling. What are you saying? I'm saying Cassian Rourke paid Mikhail Draven to kidnap your sister. He set up the entire situation, the debt collection, the ransom demand, the trial by combat. All of it. Because he knew Draven would cheat, knew he could expose him, and knew it would give him the justification he needed to take over Draven's territory without looking like the aggressor. No. Alina shook her head. No, you're lying. Am I? Kane's voice was gentle, almost kind. Think about it, Miss Voss. How did Draven know you worked for Cassian? How did he know you mattered to him? Because Cassian told him. He gave Draven your sister's name, her address, her schedule. He handed her over on a silver platter. Why would he do that? Because Cassian Rourke doesn't love you. He loves power, and you were the perfect tool to get it. Kane put his phone away. He used you, used your sister, manufactured a crisis so he could play the hero, win your loyalty, and eliminate a rival all in one move. It was brilliant, really. Alina couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The pier swayed under her feet. You're lying, she said again, but her voice was weak. Then ask him. Kane's smile was sad. Ask Cassian Rourke if he knew Mikhail Draven before your sister was taken. Ask him if they met. Ask him if he's been planning this for months, and he paused. And when he lies to you, and he will, ask yourself why a man who claims to love you would put your sister through hell just to expand his empire. He walked away, leaving Alina standing alone by the railing with the lake wind cutting through her coat and her world dissolving around her. She made it back to the penthouse on autopilot, walked through the door, found Cassian in his study, exactly where she'd left him. He looked up, smiling. Hey, I was wondering where you... Did you know Mikhail Draven before Nessa was kidnapped? The smile died. What? It's a simple question. Alina's voice was shaking. Did you know him? Had you met him before? Cassian stood slowly. Who have you been talking to? Answer the question. Alina, answer it! She was shouting now, all the fear and rage and betrayal pouring out. Did you know Draven or not? For a long moment, Cassian just looked at her. Then, quietly, yes. The floor dropped out from under her. How long? She whispered. 5 years, maybe longer. He's been in Chicago as long as I have. We've had dealings. What kind of dealings? Territory negotiations, business agreements, the usual. He moved around the desk. Why are you asking me this? Because someone just showed me photos of you meeting with him. Multiple times. In the weeks before Nessa was taken. Cassian went very still. Who showed you photos? Marcus Kane. Fuck. Cassian ran his hands through his hair. Fuck. Alina, listen to me. He said you paid Draven to kidnap my sister. Her voice broke. He said you orchestrated the whole thing so you could destroy him publicly and take his territory. That's insane. Is it? She pulled out her phone with shaking hands, showed him the photos Kane had sent. Then explain these. Cassian looked at the images, his jaw tightening. These are real. I did meet with Draven, but not for what you think. Then what? I was trying to buy your father's debt. Alina froze. What? 2 months ago I found out one of my secretaries had a sister, that her father had died owing money to dangerous people. I made inquiries. Found out Draven held the debt. Cassian's eyes were desperate. I tried to buy it from him, offered him twice what your father owed. He refused. Why? Because he knew I wanted it, knew it meant you mattered to me. So he inflated the price, asked for territory I'd never give him. When I refused, he took Nessa as leverage. You expect me to believe that? It's the truth. Then why didn't you tell me? Alina's voice rose. Why didn't you mention you'd been trying to protect me for months? Why keep it secret? Because I didn't want you to know how deep this went. Cassian's control finally cracked. I didn't want you to know I'd been obsessed with you since the day you started working for me. That I'd been watching you, protecting you, trying to keep you safe from a world you didn't even know existed. I didn't want you to think I was some kind of stalker. But you were. The accusation hung between them. You watched me, followed me, learned my schedule. That's exactly what a stalker does. Cassian flinched like she'd hit him. I was trying to protect you. From what? From danger you brought into my life by making me work for you in the first place? Alina's laugh was harsh. Don't you see? Whether you orchestrated Nessa's kidnapping or just provoked it, the result is the same. She got hurt because of me, because I work for you, because you decided I was worth ruining lives over. I love you. Do you? She stepped closer, and there were tears on her face now. Or do you love the idea of me? The perfect secretary who looked at the monster and saw a man? Because that's not real, Cassian. That's a fantasy you built. It's not a fantasy. His hands came up, reaching for her. She stepped back. He froze. Alina, please. I need space. Her voice was breaking. I need to think. Don't do this. I have to. She wiped her eyes roughly. I have to figure out what's real and what's manipulation. I can't be near you right now. Alina, please. The word came out as a sob. Please, just let me go. For a long, terrible moment, Cassian just stared at her. Then slowly he nodded. Okay, he said quietly. Okay, take all the time you need. Alina turned and walked out before she could change her mind. What? She found Nessa in this guest room staring at the ceiling. We're leaving, Alina said. Nessa sat up. What? Pack your things. We're going back to my apartment. Did something happen? Yes. No, I don't know. Alina pressed her hands to her face. I just need to get out of here, please. Just pack. Nessa didn't argue. 20 minutes later, they were in a cab heading back to Alina's tiny studio in Logan Square. Neither of them spoke during the ride. The apartment looked exactly the same, small, cramped, safe. Alina locked the door behind them and immediately started pacing. Are you going to tell me what happened? Nessa asked. Someone told me Cassian orchestrated your kidnapping. Nessa went pale. What? To destroy a rival, to take his territory. They showed me proof. Photos of him meeting with Draven before you were taken. Do you believe them? I don't know. Alina sank onto the couch. Cassian says he was trying to buy Dad's debt, that he was trying to protect us. But he kept it all secret. He never told me any of it. Maybe he didn't want to scare you. Or maybe he's lying. Alina looked at her sister. I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know if he loves me or if I'm just useful to him. Nessa was quiet for a long moment. Then she moved to sit beside Alina on the couch. When I was in that basement, she said quietly, they made me watch videos of you, working, walking home, meeting Cassian. She swallowed hard. They wanted me to understand that they knew everything about your life, that they could get to you anytime they wanted. Alina's stomach turned. Nessa, but there was one video that didn't make sense. Nessa's voice was distant. It was from inside Cassian's office. You were crying, trying to hide it, and then he found you, in his closet. Alina's breath stopped. I watched him hold you, Nessa continued. Watched the way he touched your face, the way he looked at you. She met Alina's eyes. That wasn't manipulation, Alina. That was a man seeing someone he loved in pain and not knowing how to fix it. How do you know? Because that's how you look at him too. Nessa's hand found hers. I've been angry at you for days. Angry that you changed. Angry that you put yourself in danger for me. But watching you walk out of that warehouse covered in brick dust with a gun in your hand, watching you look at Cassian like he was the only thing keeping you standing, I realized something. What? You're not the sister I knew anymore. You're stronger, fiercer, more dangerous. Nessa squeezed her hand. And maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe you needed to become this person to survive what Dad's choices put us through. Alina's eyes burned. What if I'm wrong about Cassian? What if he did orchestrate this? Then you walk away. Nessa's voice was firm. But if you're right, if he really was trying to protect you, and you throw that away because someone planted doubt, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. How can I trust my own judgment? I fell in love with him in 8 months. That's not normal. Since when is love normal? Nessa almost smiled. You've spent your whole life being careful, being responsible, playing it safe. Maybe falling in love with Chicago's most dangerous man was the first reckless thing you ever did, and maybe that's exactly what you needed. Alina's phone buzzed. She looked at it with trembling hands. Message from Ronan. Draven's men just tried to breach the penthouse. Boss is handling it. Thought you should know. Her blood ran cold. Oh, God. What? Nessa demanded. Alina was already moving, grabbing her coat. Cassian's under attack. I have to... The apartment door exploded inward. 3 men burst through, armed, masked, moving with military precision. Alina screamed, shoving Nessa behind her. One of the men grabbed her arm, wrenching it behind her back. Miss Voss, he said calmly, you're coming with us. Like hell! She drove her elbow back into his ribs, remembering everything she'd seen Cassian do in the ring. The man grunted, his grip loosening. She ran, made it 3 steps before another man caught her, throwing her against the wall hard enough to knock the air from her lungs. Pain exploded through her shoulder. Alina! Nessa's scream cut through the chaos. Alina looked up in time to see Nessa fighting, clawing, biting, kicking, before one of the men hit her across the face with the butt of his gun. Nessa crumpled. No! Alina lunged forward. Someone grabbed her hair, yanking her head back, cold metal pressed against her throat. Enough, a voice said from the doorway. Marcus Kane stepped into the apartment, immaculate in his expensive suit. He looked at Alina with something like pity. I gave you a chance to walk away, he said. You should have taken it. What do you want? What I've always wanted. Cassian Rourke's empire. Kane gestured to his men. Take them both. You said... Alina's voice broke. You said Cassian orchestrated the kidnapping, that he used me. I lied. Kane's smile was cold. Cassian loves you desperately, which makes you the perfect leverage. Draven failed to exploit it properly. I won't make the same mistake. He'll kill you. He'll try. Kane nodded to his men. But first, he'll watch you suffer, and that will destroy him far more completely than any bullet. They dragged Alina and Nessa out of the apartment, down the stairs, into a waiting van. Alina fought every step, screaming for help that didn't come. Someone hit her. The world went gray and distant. The last thing she saw before everything went black was her phone on the apartment floor, Ronan's message still glowing on the screen. Then nothing. BSS. Alina woke to pain. Her head throbbed. Her shoulders screamed. Her hands were bound behind her back with something that cut into her wrists when she moved. She forced her eyes open. A basement. Concrete walls, single bulb swinging overhead. Nessa was beside her, unconscious, blood dried on her temple from where they'd hit her. Nessa? Alina's voice was hoarse. Nessa, wake up. Her sister stirred, moaning. Come on, please, wake up. Nessa's eyes fluttered open, focused, then filled with terror. Where are we? I don't know. Alina twisted her wrists, trying to find give in the rope. Nothing. Are you hurt? My head. Nessa's voice was small. Alina, I'm scared. I know, me too. Alina's mind raced. We're going to get out of this. We just have to... The door opened. Marcus Kane descended the stairs, followed by 2 armed men. He looked at Alina with that same false pity. I apologize for the accommodations, he said, but I needed somewhere secure while we conduct negotiations. Cassian will never negotiate with you. He will when he sees the video I'm about to send him. Kane pulled out his phone, angling it to capture both women. Smile, Miss Voss. You're about to break the heart of Chicago's most dangerous man. He started recording. Alina stared directly into the camera, her jaw set. Tell him I'm sorry, she said clearly. Tell him I should have trusted him. Tell him... One of Kane's men hit her. Her head snapped sideways, blood filling her mouth. That's enough, Kane said. He stopped recording, reviewed the footage, nodded. Perfect. This should get his attention. He sent the video. Then he crouched in front of Alina, his expression almost sympathetic. For what it's worth, he said, I meant what I told you about Cassian. He is dangerous. He has destroyed lives. And loving him will probably get you killed. He paused. But he didn't orchestrate your sister's kidnapping. That was all Draven's greed and my manipulation. Why tell me now? Because you deserve to know the truth before you die. Kane stood. Cassian Rourke will come for you. He won't be able to stop himself. And when he does, I'll kill him. Then I'll kill you. Then I'll take everything he built and make it mine. You're insane. I'm ambitious. There's a difference. He headed for the stairs. Enjoy your last few hours, Miss Voss. Make peace with whatever you believe in. You're going to need it. The door closed, locked. Alina and Nessa were alone in the dark. What do we do? Nessa whispered. Alina tested the ropes again, still too tight. She looked around the basement. Bare walls, concrete floor, one small window near the ceiling that was barred from the outside. No way out. No weapons. No help coming. Just her and Nessa and the certainty that Cassian would walk into a trap to save them. Would die trying to be the hero she'd accused him of faking, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. Alina? Nessa's voice cracked. What do we do? Alina closed her eyes. Thought of Cassian's hands on her face. His voice saying, I love you, like it was the only truth that mattered. The way he'd looked at her in his closet 8 months ago, like she was a puzzle he wanted to solve. She'd walked away from him, doubted him, believed a stranger's lies over his truth, and now they were both going to die because of it. We survive, she said finally, opening her eyes. However we can, for as long as we can. And we trust that Cassian is smarter than Kane thinks he is. What if he's not? Alina thought about the gun in her hand at the warehouse, the recoil, the crack of the bullet, the way she'd become someone new in the space of a single breath. Then we become monsters ourselves, she said quietly, and we make them regret ever touching us. Nessa stared at her. Then slowly she nodded, and in the darkness of that basement, with their hands bound and death waiting, Alina Voss made a choice. She would not die afraid. She would not die helpless. If Kane wanted her blood, he was going to have to work for every drop. The door above them creaked open. Footsteps descended. Alina lifted her chin, meeting Kane's eyes with something that might have been hate or might have been promise. Round 2, she said softly. Kane smiled, and the nightmare began again. Kane's smile never reached his eyes as he descended the stairs. Behind him, 2 more men followed, both armed, both watching Alina and Nessa like they were packages to be delivered rather than people. I've been thinking, Kane said conversationally, about the best way to hurt Cassian Rourke. Money doesn't matter to him. Territory is replaceable. But you, he gestured at Alina, you're the one thing he can't rebuild. He'll kill you for this, Alina said. Her mouth still tasted like copper from where she'd been hit. Perhaps, but not before I destroy him. Kane crouched in front of her, studying her face like she was a painting. Do you know what his weakness is? It's not anger. It's not pride. It's hope. He actually believes he can save you. That love is enough to overcome men with guns and superior numbers. It is enough. Kane laughed. Is it? Then where is he? It's been 40 minutes since I sent that video. No dramatic rescue, no cavalry charging through the door, just you and your sister, bound in a basement, waiting to die. Alina said nothing. She was working the ropes behind her back, twisting her wrists incrementally, feeling for any weakness in the knots. Her skin was raw and bleeding, but she didn't stop. Nothing to say? Kane stood. That's disappointing. I expected more fight from the woman who made Cassian Rourke human again. You don't know anything about him. I know everything about him. I've studied him for 5 years, learned his patterns, his tells, his breaking points. Kane pulled out his phone again. And I know that right now he's mobilizing every man he has, calling in every favor, preparing to storm whatever location his tech people think we're at. Then you've already lost. No, Miss Voss, I've already won, because Cassian's people are tracking the signal from my phone, leading him directly into an ambush 3 miles from here. Kane's smile widened. By the time he realizes it's a trap, he'll be surrounded, outgunned, and very, very dead. Nessa made a small sound, half sob, half whimper. Alina felt something crack inside her chest. You're using us as bait, she said flatly. Brilliant, isn't it? Cassian dies thinking he failed to save you. You die knowing you got him killed. And I'd take over his empire while everyone's still processing the tragedy. Kane checked his watch. Should be happening right about now, actually. He turned the phone toward them. On the screen was a live feed from what looked like a warehouse camera. Alina watched in horror as 3 black SUVs pulled up outside. Men emerged. Cassian's men, she recognized Ronan and Victor, moving with tactical precision toward the entrance. Wait for it, Kane murmured. The warehouse doors opened. Cassian stepped out first, and even through the grainy video, Alina could see the controlled fury in his movements. He scanned the area, said something to Ronan, then started forward. That's when the shooting started. Muzzle flashes erupted from every direction, rooftops, windows, behind parked cars. Cassian's men scattered, returning fire, but they were clearly outnumbered. Alina watched Cassian dive behind an SUV, watched him fire back with deadly accuracy, watched 2 of his men go down. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Yes, Kane said softly. Watch him die, Miss Voss. Watch the man who loved you bleed out in a parking lot because he was stupid enough to think he could save you. Alina wrenched her wrists harder. The rope cut deeper. Blood made her hands slippery. She twisted again, felt something give. Just slightly, but enough. On the screen, Cassian was still fighting, still alive. But more of his men were down now, and the attackers were closing in. Ronan was shouting something, firing to cover Cassian's position. Victor was down, not moving. Then Cassian did something that stopped Alina's heart. He stood up, stepped out from behind cover with his hands raised, his weapon on the ground. What is he doing? Nessa breathed. Surrendering, Kane said. How noble, how utterly pointless. The shooting stopped. On screen, men emerged from their positions surrounding Cassian. He said something Alina couldn't hear through the video, and one of the men laughed, raised his weapon. Alina screamed, couldn't help it. The sound tore from her throat like something dying. The gunshot on the video was silent, but she felt it anyway. Watched Cassian jerk backward. Watched him fall. No! She was thrashing now, throwing her whole body against the ropes. No, you bastard! No! Kane ended the video. It's done. Cassian Rourke is dead. And now, he turned to his men. Now we clean up the loose ends. One of the men raised his weapon, pointing it at Nessa. Something inside Alina shattered. Not broke. Shattered. Like glass hitting concrete, fragmenting into pieces that could never be made whole again. She wrenched her wrists one final time. The rope snapped. Her hands were free. Alina moved on pure instinct. She grabbed the nearest thing, a piece of broken concrete from the basement floor, and hurled it at the armed man's face. It connected with a sickening crack. The man stumbled backward, his gun discharging into the ceiling. Alina was already moving. She launched herself at Kane, driving her shoulder into his stomach. They went down hard. She heard his head crack against the concrete floor. He groaned. The second armed man was raising his weapon. Alina rolled, grabbed Kane's dropped phone, and threw it at the man's gun hand. It hit. The weapon skittered away. Nessa, move! Alina screamed. Nessa was frozen. Alina grabbed her sister's bound hands and pulled, dragging her toward the stairs. The first man was recovering, blood pouring from his broken nose. He lunged. Alina kicked him in the knee, felt it give. He went down screaming. They hit the stairs. Alina pulled Nessa up, taking them 2 at a time. Behind them, Kane was shouting orders. More footsteps, reinforcements coming. The basement door was locked from the outside. Vocal! Fuck! Alina hissed. She looked around wildly. The small window near the ceiling, barred but old. She grabbed the broken piece of concrete she'd dropped and slammed it against the bars. Once, twice. The rust gave slightly. Alina, they're coming! Nessa's voice was pure terror. Alina hit the bars again. One came loose. Again. Another gave way. One more. Hands grabbed her from behind. She twisted, drove her elbow back into someone's ribs. The grip loosened. She spun and came face to face with Kane, blood streaming from a cut on his scalp. You stupid bitch, he snarled. Alina headbutted him. She'd never headbutted anyone in her life. Didn't know how. It hurt like hell and probably broke her nose, but Kane reeled backward, giving her precious seconds. She grabbed the last bar and pulled with everything she had. It snapped free. Nessa, go. I can't fit. Try. Alina boosted her sister up. Nessa was smaller, thinner. She squeezed through the window opening with agonizing slowness. Alina heard fabric tear, heard Nessa cry out, then her sister was through. Hands grabbed Alina's legs. She kicked backward, connected with something soft. Someone grunted. She tried to pull herself up to the window. Something hard hit the back of her head. Stars exploded across her vision. She fell. Kane stood over her with a metal pipe in his hand. That was impressive. Stupid, but impressive. Alina tried to get up. Her head was spinning. She made it to her knees before he kicked her in the ribs. Pain bloomed. She gasped, couldn't breathe. You know what the funny part is? Kane crouched beside her. Cassian's not dead. That was a recording from 3 months ago. Different operation, but it got the reaction I wanted. The words took a moment to penetrate. Then Alina understood. She could barely speak. You lied. I needed you desperate. Needed you to see what losing him would look like. And now, he grabbed her hair, wrenching her head back. Now you're going to help me kill him for real. Never. We'll see. He nodded to his men. Get her up. We're moving. They hauled Alina to her feet. Her ribs screamed. Her head throbbed. But Nessa was free. Nessa was running. That was all that mattered. They dragged her up the stairs, through a house she didn't recognize, out into cold night air. A van waited. They threw her inside. Kane climbed in after her. Drive! The van lurched forward. Alina tried to orient herself, but everything hurt and the world kept tilting. She caught glimpses through the windshield, Chicago streets, passing headlights, buildings she half recognized. Where are we going? She managed. Navy Pier. Kane was texting rapidly on a new phone. Cassian's tracking your phone. When he gets there, my men will be waiting. This time it won't be a recording. This time he'll watch you die, and then we'll kill him too. He's too smart for that. Is he? He walked into my warehouse trap believing I'd be stupid enough to keep you there. He's not thinking clearly. Love does that to people. Kane looked at her. Makes them reckless. Gets them killed. Alina said nothing. She was testing her ribs, trying to determine if any were broken. Everything hurt, but she could breathe. That was something. The van turned. Through the windshield, Alina could see the pier approaching. Navy Pier at night, lit up like a carnival, tourists everywhere. Kane was going to kill them in public. You're insane, she said. I'm efficient. Easier to disappear in a crowd. The van pulled to a stop in a loading area behind the pier. Kane gestured. Out. And if you try anything, if you run, if you scream, I will shoot you in the spine and let you watch paralyzed while I kill Cassian. Understand? Alina understood. She climbed out slowly, every movement agony. 2 of Kane's men flanked her. More were positioned around the area. She counted at least 8 visible, probably more hidden. This was a trap. A perfect trap. And Cassian was walking right into it. Her phone was still in her pocket. Kane's men had missed it when they grabbed her. She could feel it pressing against her hip. If she could just get to it, send a message, warn him. This way. Kane guided her toward the pier proper. They emerged into the tourist area. Families everywhere. Children eating cotton candy. Couples taking selfies. No one looked at them twice. Kane positioned her near the railing overlooking the lake. The water was black and infinite below. Now we wait, he said. Alina's mind raced. She couldn't fight. Not with this many armed men. Couldn't run. They'd shoot her in the back. Couldn't warn Cassian. Her phone was unreachable. But she could jump. The thought came suddenly, clearly. The water was maybe 30 feet down. Cold enough to kill her in minutes if the fall didn't break her neck. But at least Kane wouldn't have her as leverage. At least Cassian would know to run. She looked at the railing, calculated the distance, wondered if she had the courage. Don't even think about it, Kane said softly. You jump? I start shooting tourists until Cassian shows himself. How many dead children can you live with, Miss Voss? Alina closed her eyes. Trapped. Completely trapped. Alina! Her eyes snapped open. That voice. Nessa was running toward them through the crowd, her face tear-streaked and desperate. Behind her. Alina's heart stopped. Cassian emerged from the crowd like a nightmare made flesh. His face was battered from the earlier fight, but he was alive, moving, and absolutely murderous. Ronan was with him. So was Victor, limping but armed. 4 other men she recognized from the penthouse, all of them converging on Kane's position. "How?" Kane started. "Your sister's smarter than you thought," Cassian said. His voice was deadly calm. "She found a phone, called Ronan, told him everything." "Doesn't matter." Kane pulled a weapon, pressing it against Alina's temple. "You take one more step and I paint the pier with her brains." Cassian froze. "Let her go." "No. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell your men to stand down, you're going to get on your knees, and you're going to watch me kill the woman you love. Then I'll kill you. Then I'll take everything you built." "That's not happening." "It's already happening." Kane's grip on Alina tightened. The gun barrel dug into her skin. "On your knees, Rourke. Now." For a long moment, Cassian just looked at him. Then slowly, he lowered himself to his knees. "Cassian, no," Alina started. "It's okay," he said quietly. His eyes found hers across the distance. "It's going to be okay." Touching, Kane cocked the weapon. "Say goodbye, Miss Voss." Alina looked at Cassian, memorized his face, tried to tell him with her eyes everything she'd never said aloud. Then she drove her head backward into Kane's face. The gun went off. The bullet went wide. Alina felt it pass inches from her skull. Then Cassian was moving, faster than she'd ever seen anyone move. He closed the distance in seconds, his weapon up. Kane shoved Alina aside, bringing his gun around. Cassian fired first. The shot caught Kane in the shoulder, spinning him. His weapon clattered away. Cassian's men engaged Kane's. Gunfire erupted. Tourists screamed, running in every direction. Alina hit the deck, covering her head. Someone grabbed her, Ronan pulling her toward cover. "Stay down!" he shouted. Through the chaos, Alina saw Cassian and Kane locked in brutal hand-to-hand combat. Kane was wounded but desperate. He drove a fist into Cassian's ribs, the same ribs Draven had battered days ago. Cassian grunted, staggered. Kane pressed the advantage with a knee to the stomach. Cassian went down. Kane grabbed his dropped weapon, raised it, aimed at Cassian's head. Alina moved without thinking. She grabbed a piece of metal railing that had come loose during the firefight and hurled it with everything she had. It caught Kane across the face. He stumbled, the shot going wild. Cassian swept his legs, bringing him down hard. Then Cassian was on top of him, raining down punches with savage precision. "You touched her." Punch. "You threatened her." Punch. "You made her think I was dead." Punch. "You tried to take her from me." His hands wrapped around Kane's throat. "You don't get to live." "Cassian." Alina's voice cut through his rage. "Cassian, stop." He looked up at her. His hands were still around Kane's throat. Kane was gasping, face purple. "He's not worth it," Alina said quietly. "Don't kill him. Don't become that for me." For a long, terrible moment, Cassian didn't move. Then, slowly, he released Kane and stood. Kane collapsed, coughing and wheezing. Police sirens were approaching. Cassian's men were already disappearing into the crowd. Ronan materialized beside them. "We need to go. Now." Cassian didn't move. He was staring at Alina like he couldn't quite believe she was real. She stared back, taking in the blood and bruises and the absolutely devastating relief in his eyes. Then she was running, closing the distance between them, throwing herself into his arms hard enough to make them both stumble. Cassian caught her, held her so tightly she couldn't breathe, his face buried in her hair. "I thought I lost you," he said roughly. "I thought, I'm here. I'm okay." Her hands fisted in his shirt. "Cassian, I'm so sorry. I should have trusted you. I should have..." Later. He pulled back just enough to cup her face. "We'll talk about everything later. Right now we need to move." He was right. The sirens were getting louder. Ronan was already guiding Nessa toward a waiting car. Cassian took Alina's hand and they ran. They made it 2 blocks before Alina's legs gave out. Everything caught up to her at once. The fear, the pain, the exhaustion. She stumbled. Cassian caught her, swept her up into his arms without breaking stride. "I've got you," he said. "I've got you." Alina pressed her face into his neck and let him carry her. The safe house was in Evanston, a nondescript brownstone that looked like every other house on the block. Cassian carried Alina inside, set her gently on a couch. Ronan brought Nessa in right behind them. "You're both hurt," Ronan said, already pulling out a medical kit. "I'm fine," Alina lied. "You have a concussion, broken ribs, and about 1,000 cuts and bruises." Cassian was examining her with clinical precision despite the tremor in his hands. "You're not fine. Neither are you. I'm operational. That's all that matters." He looked at Ronan. "Check Nessa first." Ronan moved to Nessa, who was sitting shell-shocked in an armchair. Alina watched him work, gentle, professional, carefully checking her sister for injuries. Cassian sat beside Alina on the couch. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then his hand found hers, lacing their fingers together. "I saw the video," he said quietly, "of you in that basement. Kane sent it to every phone number associated with me. I knew it was a trap, knew he wanted me to rush in angry and stupid." His grip tightened. "I did it anyway. I was 3 blocks from the warehouse when Nessa called Ronan. If she hadn't... But she did. If she hadn't," Cassian continued, "I would have walked right into his ambush. And you'd be dead, because I was too blinded by rage to think clearly. You came for me. That's all that matters. I almost got you killed. You saved my life." Alina turned to face him fully. "Cassian, I thought you were dead. Kane showed me a video, you getting shot, going down, and I thought I'd never get to tell you I was sorry for doubting you, for believing his lies, for walking away. You had every reason to doubt me." Cassian's free hand came up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I kept secrets. I watched you for months without telling you. I made you a target just by caring about you. You tried to protect me. I failed. You didn't." Alina leaned into his touch. "You fought for me. You risked everything for me. You proved that everything Kane said was a lie." "What did he say?" She told him. All of it. The photos, the accusations, the claim that Cassian had orchestrated Nessa's kidnapping. Cassian listened with growing fury, his jaw tightening. "Son of a bitch," he said finally. "He played you perfectly. I should have known better. How? You had photographic evidence, a reasonable timeline. I'd kept secrets from you." He touched her face gently. "You did exactly what any rational person would do. You questioned. You walked away. You protected your sister. I left you because you thought I'd betrayed you. If the situation was reversed, if someone showed me proof you'd manipulated me, I would have burned their entire world down." His thumb brushed her cheekbone. "You just asked for space. That's not betrayal. That's self-preservation." Alina's eyes burned. "I love you. I should have said it before. I should have..." Cassian kissed her. It was gentle despite the split in his lip, careful of her injuries, but no less devastating for it. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. "I love you too," he said quietly. "I have since the day you walked into my office and looked at me like I was capable of being good. I'll love you until the day I die. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure nothing like this ever touches you again." "Cassian, I mean it." His hands framed her face. "I'm getting out. All of it. The territory, the operations, everything that put you in danger. I'll liquidate the legitimate businesses, take what I've saved, and we'll disappear. New city, new names, a life where men with guns don't kick down your door. You can't just walk away from your empire. Watch me." His eyes were fierce. "None of it matters if you're not safe. If Nessa's not safe. I built all of this because I thought power would protect me from ever being helpless again. But tonight I was more helpless than I've ever been. Watching that video of you in that basement, knowing you were hurt and scared and I couldn't reach you, that was worse than anything I went through as a kid. What about your men? Ronan, Victor, all the people who depend on you. They'll understand. Or they won't. Either way, I'm done." He kissed her softly. "You're my empire now. You and Nessa. Everything else is just noise." Across the room, Ronan had finished examining Nessa. He approached quietly. "She's bruised but okay. No major injuries. She should rest." "Thank you," Alina said. Ronan nodded. Then he looked at Cassian. "We need to talk. About Kane." Cassian's expression hardened. "What about him?" Police took him into custody, but his lawyers are already working on bail. He'll be out in 48 hours. Maybe less. Not if he's dead. Boss, I'm not joking. Cassian stood, and there was murder in his eyes. He kidnapped Alina, hurt her, threatened to kill her. He doesn't get to walk away from that. If you kill him now, every law enforcement agency in Illinois will come after you. You'll never be able to disappear, never be able to give Alina that normal life you just promised her. The words hit Cassian like a physical blow. He stood there, hands clenched, visibly warring with himself. There's another way, Ronan said quietly. Let the system handle him. Kane made mistakes tonight. Shot at civilians, federal charges, not local. He's looking at 20 years minimum if we play this right. And if his lawyers get him off, then we revisit the conversation. Ronan's expression was grim. But right now, the smart play is to let him rot in a cell while you get Alina and Nessa somewhere safe. Cassian looked at Alina. She could see the struggle in his eyes, the part of him that wanted blood warring with the part that wanted to give her the life she deserved. Please, she said quietly. No more killing, no more violence. I just want it to be over. For a long moment, Cassian didn't move. Then, slowly, he nodded. Okay, he said. We do it Ronan's way. For now. Thank you, Alina whispered. Cassian returned to the couch, pulled her back into his arms. She went willingly, pressing her face into his chest, breathing him in. Alive. Whole. Hers. Get some rest, Ronan said. I'll take first watch. We'll figure out next steps in the morning. He disappeared upstairs with Nessa. Alina heard doors closing, the house settling into quiet. I can't sleep, she said against Cassian's chest. Neither can I. Every time I close my eyes, I see that video. You getting shot, going down. His arms tightened around her. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Promise me. I promise. He kissed the top of her head. We're going to get through this. We're going to heal. And then we're going to build something better. Something that doesn't involve men with guns and basements and fear. What if we can't? What if this is who we are now? Then we'll be it together. Cassian pulled back just enough to look at her. You and me. Nessa. A family built on survival and love and refusing to let the darkness win. I'll take that over any empire. Alina looked up at him. At this man who'd fought through hell for her. Who'd been willing to die for her. Who was offering to walk away from everything he'd built just to keep her safe. When this is over, she said quietly. When we're somewhere safe and Nessa's okay and we've had time to breathe. I want to marry you. Cassian went very still. What? I want to marry you. I want to wake up next to you every morning and go to sleep in your arms every night. I want to build a life with you, not because we're running, not because we're scared, but because I choose you every day for the rest of my life. His hands came up, framing her face like she was something precious. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. I'm not an easy man to love. I know. She smiled through tears. Good thing I'm not easy to scare. Cassian kissed her, deep and slow and full of promise. When he finally pulled back, his eyes were bright with something that might have been tears. Yes, he said roughly, to all of it. Marriage, family, a life together, whatever you want. It's yours. Alina kissed him again. And for the first time in days, she felt something that might have been hope. They fell asleep on the couch, wrapped around each other, exhaustion finally winning. When Alina's phone buzzed hours later, it took her a moment to remember where she was. She fumbled for it. Unknown number. Her blood ran cold. The message was simple. You think it's over. It's not. I'm coming for all of you, and this time no one survives. Okay. Alina stared at the screen, her heart hammering. Kane. He'd gotten to a phone somehow. Was threatening them even from custody. She should wake Cassian. Should show him the message. Her phone rang. Same unknown number. She answered before she could think better of it. Hello? Heavy breathing. Then, did you get my message? Kane's voice. But wrong somehow. Strained. Desperate. Where are you? Alina demanded. Somewhere your boyfriend can't reach me, for now. A pause. But I'm coming for you, Miss Voss. For you and your sister and Cassian Rourke. I'm going to finish what I started. You're in federal custody. You're not going anywhere. Kane laughed. It sounded unhinged. Am I? Check the news, sweetheart. Check and see how secure I really am. The line went dead. Alina's hands shook as she pulled up a news app. The headline loaded slowly, each second an eternity. Then she saw it. Breaking. Transfer vehicle ambushed. High-profile suspect Marcus Kane escapes federal custody. Manhunt underway. The phone slipped from her nerveless fingers. Cassian woke instantly, his hand going to where his weapon should be. What? Alina couldn't speak, could barely breathe. She just pointed at her phone where the headline glowed like a death sentence. Cassian read it. His expression turned to stone. Get Nessa, he said quietly. We're leaving. Now. Where? Doesn't matter, anywhere but here. He was already moving, grabbing weapons, his phone. Kane's free, which means we're all dead if we stay. Alina ran upstairs, her ribs screaming, burst into Nessa's room. Her sister was already awake, looking terrified. I heard, Nessa said. He's coming for us, isn't he? Yes. Alina pulled her up. But we're not going to be here when he arrives. They made it downstairs in time to see Ronan and Victor securing the perimeter. Cassian was on the phone, barking orders. How long do we have? Alina asked. Don't know. Could be hours. Could be minutes. Cassian ended his call. We have a plane waiting at a private airfield, 40 minutes from here. If we can make it... Glass shattered. Someone shouted. Gunfire erupted. They were already here. Cassian shoved Alina and Nessa toward the back of the house. Go! Get to the car! Not without you. I'll be right behind you. He was returning fire now, his face set in deadly calm. Ronan, get them out! Ronan grabbed both women, hauling them toward the back door. Behind them, the firefight intensified. Alina looked back in time to see Cassian take a bullet to the shoulder. He stumbled, kept firing. Cassian, she screamed. Keep moving! Ronan shoved them outside into the cold night. A car waited, engine running. Victor was in the driver's seat. Get in, Victor commanded. Alina hesitated. Every instinct screamed at her to go back, to help Cassian, to... An explosion rocked the house. Flames erupted from the windows. The concussion knocked Alina off her feet. Ronan hauled her up. In the car! Now! They threw her into the back seat. Nessa climbed in beside her. Ronan jumped in front. Victor hit the gas. As they peeled away from the burning safe house, Alina twisted in her seat, looking back desperately for any sign of Cassian. The front door burst open. Cassian emerged, his shirt soaked with blood, his face blackened with soot. He was limping. Behind him, more of Kane's men poured out of the burning building. He wasn't going to make it to the car. Stop! Alina screamed. Victor, stop the car! Can't! Boss's orders. Get you to safety no matter what. I don't care about his orders. Stop the fucking car. Victor didn't slow. The distance between them and Cassian grew. Alina watched helplessly as Cassian fired his last rounds, dropping 2 attackers. Then his weapon clicked empty. More men emerged, surrounding him, raising their weapons. No! Alina was clawing at the door handle. Ronan grabbed her, holding her back. Don't! She bit his hand, hard. He yelped, his grip loosening just enough. Alina wrenched the door open and threw herself out of the moving car. She hit the asphalt hard. Pain exploded through her already broken ribs. The world spun. She forced herself up, stumbling back toward where Cassian was making his last stand. He saw her. His eyes went wide with horror. Alina, no! She ran toward him, toward the guns, toward certain death. Because if Cassian was going to die tonight, he wasn't going to die alone. Behind her, she heard Ronan shouting, the car screeching to a halt, Nessa screaming her name. Ahead, Kane's men were raising their weapons, aiming at Cassian, at her. Time slowed. Alina saw everything with crystal clarity. The bullets leaving the guns, Cassian's face, twisted with fear and love and desperate fury. The distance between them impossibly vast. She wasn't going to make it. Neither was he. This was how they died. Together. The gunfire was deafening, everywhere, inescapable. And then, the gunfire stopped. Not because the shooters had mercy, not because some miracle intervened. It stopped because Victor had executed a perfect 180 turn and brought the car screaming back toward the firefight, laying down suppressive fire from the passenger window while Ronan leaned out the driver's side doing the same. Alina hit the ground between two parked cars as bullets tore through the air where she'd been standing. Her ribs screamed, her vision blurred. She tasted blood and concrete and terror. Then Cassian was there, covering her body with his breath harsh against her ear. "What the hell were you thinking?" he snarled. "That you weren't dying alone. You stupid, beautiful, He cut himself off, grabbing her hand. "Can you run?" "Yes." "Then run." They ran. Cassian pulled her between cars, using them as cover while Victor and Ronan provided covering fire. Behind them, Kane's men were regrouping, shouting orders. More vehicles were arriving, reinforcements that made Alina's stomach drop. They weren't going to make it. Cassian seemed to realize it at the same moment. He stopped, pressing Alina against the side of a van, his hands framing her face. "Listen to me," he said urgently. "When Victor pulls up, you get in that car. You don't look back. You don't wait for me. You get Nessa to that plane and you disappear. No, you do it, Alina. You survive. That's all I need. I'm not leaving you. You have to." His thumb brushed her cheek. "Nessa needs you. I need you to live, even if I don't." Tears burned Alina's eyes. "Cassian," he kissed her, hard and desperate, tasting like blood and smoke and goodbye. When he pulled back, his eyes were fierce. "I love you," he said. "Remember that. Whatever happens. I love you." Then he was moving, stepping out from cover with his weapon raised, drawing fire away from where Victor was positioning the car. Alina watched in horror as Cassian engaged 3 men simultaneously. He took one down with a headshot, another with 2 to the chest. The third got a shot off that caught Cassian in the side. He stumbled but didn't fall. The car screeched to a halt beside Alina. Ronan leaned out. "Get in!" She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Cassian was still fighting, still drawing fire, and she could see more of Kane's men closing in. "Alina!" Nessa's voice shrill with terror. "Please!" Cassian looked back at her. Just for a second, his eyes met hers across the distance. "Go," he mouthed. Alina climbed into the car. Victor hit the gas. They lurched forward. Alina twisted in her seat, watching through the rear window as Cassian fought his way toward a nearby alley. He was losing blood fast, favoring his left side, but still moving with deadly efficiency. Then Marcus Kane stepped out of the shadows behind him. "Stop the car!" Alina screamed. "Can't!" Victor started. She grabbed the wheel, wrenching it hard to the left. The car spun, tires screaming. Victor swore, fighting for control. They ended up facing back the way they'd come, headlights illuminating the scene like a stage. Kane had a gun pressed to the back of Cassian's head. Cassian was on his knees, breathing hard, blood soaking through his shirt. His weapon lay on the ground 3 feet away. "Turn off the engine," Kane called out. "All of you, out of the car, now, or I execute him right here." "Don't," Cassian said through gritted teeth. "Drive away. Get her out of here." "Not happening," Alina said. She was already opening her door. "Alina, no." Ronan grabbed for her, but she was faster, slipping out and moving toward Kane with her hands raised. "Let him go," she said. "You want leverage? Take me. Let Cassian and my sister go." Kane's smile was terrible. Blood matted his silver hair from where she'd hit him with the railing. One eye was swollen, nearly shut. But he was still standing, still in control. "You don't get to negotiate," he said. "Not anymore. You cost me everything, my reputation, my freedom, my future. So now I take everything from you." He cocked the weapon. Cassian closed his eyes. Alina's mind went perfectly, crystalline clear. She thought about her father, dying alone with debts he couldn't pay. About Nessa, 19 and terrified in a basement. About 8 months working for a man she'd thought was a monster until he held her while she cried. She thought about the gun in her hand at the warehouse, the recoil, the choice to become someone new. And she thought about the small pistol Ronan had given her 3 days ago, tucked into her waistband at the small of her back. The one everyone had forgotten about in the chaos. "You're right," she said to Kane, taking a step closer. "You should take everything. That's fair." Another step. Kane's attention was on her now, the gun still at Cassian's head, but his focus split. I destroyed your life, Alina continued, her voice steady despite her hammering heart. I should pay for that. One more step. She was 15 feet away now, close enough. So here's what I'm offering, she said. My life for his. You let Cassian go, you let my sister go, and you can do whatever you want to me. That's fair, isn't it? A life for a life? Alina, don't. Cassian's eyes were open now, wild with understanding. It's okay, she said softly, looking at him, memorizing his face. I'm making a choice. My choice. How touching, Cain said. But I don't want just your life. I want you to watch him die first. I want you to carry that for whatever time you have left. Then you're making a mistake, Alina said. Her hand moved, fast, faster than she thought she was capable of. The pistol cleared her waistband, came up, aimed. Cain's eyes widened. He started to turn the weapon toward her. Cassian moved. Even injured, even on his knees, he was faster. His elbow drove back into Cain's knee. The man's leg buckled. The gun jerked away from Cassian's head. Alina fired. The shot caught Cain in the chest, high, right side. Not immediately fatal, but devastating. He stumbled backward, his weapon falling from nerveless fingers. Cassian grabbed his own gun from the ground and put 2 rounds into Cain's chest before the man could recover. Cain went down hard, lay there gasping, blood bubbling from his lips. Cassian stood slowly, swaying, walked over to where Cain was dying, looked down at him with absolutely no expression. You should have taken the deal, Cassian said quietly. Should have stayed in custody, should have left her alone. You, Cain coughed blood. You'll never be free of this. Maybe not, but at least I'll be free of you. Cain's eyes went glassy, fixed on nothing. Then he stopped breathing. For a long moment, nobody moved. The street was silent except for the crackle of flames from the burning safe house and the distant wail of approaching sirens. Then Cassian's legs gave out. Alina caught him, barely. They went down together, and she could feel blood, so much blood, soaking through his clothes. Cassian, her voice broke. Cassian, stay with me. I'm here. His hand found hers, gripping weakly. I'm okay. You're not okay. You're bleeding everywhere. Flesh wounds. Dramatic but not fatal. He tried to smile, failed. You shot him. I shot him. Good aim. I was aiming for his head. That got a real smile, brief and pained. Remind me never to make you angry. Ronan and Victor were suddenly there, applying pressure to Cassian's wounds, barking into phones for medical assistance. Nessa appeared, pale and shaking, kneeling beside Alina. Is he... Nessa couldn't finish. He's alive, Alina said. She was crying now, couldn't stop. He's going to be okay. He has to be okay. Cassian's hand tightened on hers. Not dying today. Made you a promise. Meant it. What promise? Marry you. Build a life. Give you everything. His eyes were starting to close. Can't do that if I'm dead. Then don't die, Alina said fiercely. Don't you dare die on me, Cassian Rourke. Wouldn't dream of it. An ambulance arrived. Paramedics took over from Ronan, loading Cassian onto a stretcher. Alina tried to climb in after him, but they stopped her. Family only, one of them said. I'm his fiancée. The lie came automatically. Or maybe it wasn't a lie. Maybe it was just stating the inevitable. The paramedic looked at her blood-soaked clothes, her battered face, and nodded. Get in. The ride to the hospital was a blur. Alina held Cassian's hand the entire way, watching monitors she didn't understand beep and flash. A paramedic kept asking her questions. Was she injured? Did she need treatment? But she couldn't focus on anything except Cassian's face, pale and drawn with pain. Stay with me, she kept whispering. Please, just stay. Always, he murmured. Said I was yours, meant it. They rushed him into surgery the moment they arrived, tore him away from her despite her protests. A nurse guided Alina to a waiting room where Nessa, Ronan, and Victor were already gathering. How bad? Ronan asked immediately. I don't know. They wouldn't tell me anything. Alina sank into a plastic chair, her whole body shaking. There was so much blood. Nessa sat beside her, taking her hand. Neither of them spoke. There was nothing to say. Hours passed. Nurses came and went with updates that told them nothing. Cassian was in surgery. Cassian was stable. Cassian was still in surgery. Ronan made phone calls, his voice low and urgent, arranging things Alina couldn't focus on. Victor stood guard by the door like he expected Kane's ghost to walk through. Somewhere around 3 a.m., Alina's eyes finally closed. Exhaustion pulled her under despite her best efforts to stay awake. She dreamed of basements and gunfire and Cassian falling in slow motion while she screamed his name. She woke to daylight streaming through the waiting room windows and Ronan gently shaking her shoulder. "He's out of surgery," Ronan said. "Wants to see you." Alina was on her feet before she fully processed the words. "Is he okay?" "Doctor said he'll make a full recovery. Lost a lot of blood, but no major organ damage. He got lucky." Lucky. Right. Alina almost laughed. Instead, she followed Ronan down sterile white corridors to a private room where machines beeped softly and Cassian lay propped up in bed looking like death warmed over. But alive. Breathing. Watching the door with eyes that lit up when she entered. "Hey," he said. His voice was rough, probably from the breathing tube. "Hey yourself." Alina crossed to his bedside, taking his hand carefully. "You look terrible. You should see the other guy." He paused. "Oh, wait. You shot him." "I did." "How do you feel about that?" Alina thought about it. Really thought. "I feel like I'd do it again, to protect you, to protect Nessa. I'd pull that trigger 100 times." "Good. That's good." Cassian's thumb stroked the inside of her wrist. "Means you're not letting guilt eat you alive." "Should I feel guilty?" No. Kane made his choices. This is where they led. His eyes searched hers. "You made yours too. You came back for me. You could have driven away, could have saved yourself, but you came back." "Of course I came back. I love you." "I love you too." He tugged her hand gently. "Come here." Alina perched on the edge of the bed, careful of his injuries. Cassian's free hand came up to cup her face. "I'm getting out," he said. "I meant what I said, all of it. I'm liquidating everything, walking away from the Empire, and we're disappearing. You, me, and Nessa. Somewhere quiet, somewhere safe." "What about your men?" "Ronan's taking over. He's got the connections, the respect. It's a clean transition." Cassian's jaw tightened. "I'm done with this life, Alina. Done with violence and territory wars and men with guns. I want normal. I want boring. I want to wake up next to you without wondering if someone's going to try to kill us." "That sounds perfect." "Yeah?" His smile was soft. "Even knowing you'll be tied to a washed-up crime lord with more scars than sense?" "Especially knowing that." Alina leaned down, kissing him gently. "You're the best choice I ever made, Cassian Rourke. The best mistake that turned into the best decision." "I was a mistake?" "A beautiful one." She kissed him again. "The kind worth keeping." The door opened. Nessa entered hesitantly, hovering near the threshold. "Is it okay?" she started. "Get in here," Cassian said. "You're family now. Act like it." Nessa approached slowly, looked at Cassian with an expression Alina couldn't quite read. "Thank you," Nessa said finally, "for saving me, for protecting Alina, for—" Her voice cracked. "For everything. You don't need to thank me." "Yes, I do." Nessa was crying now. "I blamed you. I thought you destroyed our lives, but you saved them. You fought for us. You almost died for us." "I'd do it again." Cassian said it simply, like it was obvious. "You're Alina's sister. That makes you worth fighting for." Nessa moved to the other side of the bed, taking Cassian's free hand. "I'm sorry. For doubting you. For being angry. For not seeing what Alina saw. Hey, you were kidnapped, traumatized, and thrown into a world that made no sense. You're allowed to be angry." Cassian squeezed her hand. "But we're past that now. Fresh start for all of us. Deal?" "Deal." Nessa wiped her eyes. "So where are we going? This mysterious safe place?" Cassian looked at Alina. "Your call. Anywhere you want." Alina thought about it. About cities she'd never seen and lives she'd never lived. About the possibility of starting over somewhere no one knew their names or their history. "Somewhere warm," she said finally. "Somewhere we can see the ocean. Somewhere Nessa can finish college without looking over her shoulder." I know a place, Cassian said. Small town on the Carolina coast. Quiet. Anonymous. I've got a house there under a different name, been saving it for emergencies. This counts as an emergency? This counts as a new beginning. His eyes were serious. No more looking back. No more running from the past. We bury it here and we move forward. Together, Alina said. Together. 6 months later, Alina stood on a beach in South Carolina watching the sun set over the Atlantic. The sand was warm under her bare feet. The wind tasted like salt and freedom. Behind her, the house they'd made into a home sat nestled in the dunes. It was smaller than Cassian's penthouse, older, imperfect. But it was theirs. Cassian emerged from the house carrying 2 glasses of wine. He moved easier now. The gunshot wounds healed to shiny scars that he'd started to forget were there. His hair was longer, sun-bleached. He wore jeans and a t-shirt instead of expensive suits. He looked happy. Nessa's on the phone with her study group, he said, handing Alina a glass. Something about marine biology and coral reefs. I understood maybe 30%. She loves it. Alina leaned into him. Thanks for paying her tuition. She pretends it doesn't matter, but it does. She's family. That's what family does. Cassian kissed the top of her head. Besides, I've got more money than I know what to do with. Might as well spend it on something that matters. They stood there in comfortable silence, watching the waves roll in. Alina thought about the woman she'd been 6 months ago, terrified, breaking down in a closet, certain her world was ending. She'd been right, in a way. That world had ended, but a new one had begun. I went to the jeweler today, Cassian said casually. Picked up something. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small velvet box. Opened it. Inside was a ring, simple, elegant. A single diamond set in platinum that caught the dying light and threw it back in brilliant fragments. I know we said we'd wait, Cassian said, until things settled down, until we were sure. But I'm sure, Alina. I've been sure since the night you fired a gun to save my life, so... He took a breath. Will you marry me? For real this time? Not because we're running or scared, but because I want to spend every day of the rest of my life making you happy? Alina's eyes burned. You already make me happy. Is that a yes? That's a yes. She laughed through tears. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Cassian slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. He'd probably measured her finger while she slept. The controlling bastard. She loved him for it. They kissed as the sun disappeared below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of fire and gold. When they finally pulled apart, both smiling like idiots, Cassian rested his forehead against hers. I never thought I'd have this, he said quietly. Never thought I deserved it. A family. A home. Peace. You deserve all of it. Only because of you. His hands framed her face. You saved me, Alina. In that closet 8 months ago, you looked at me like I was worth saving, and somehow that made it true. You saved yourself. I just reminded you how. We saved each other then. Yeah. Alina's smile was soft. We did. They walked back to the house hand in hand. Through the window, they could see Nessa at the kitchen table, laptop open, gesturing animatedly as she talked to her study group. She looked happy, healthy, safe. Think she'll forgive us for the shotgun wedding? Cassian asked. We're not having a shotgun wedding. Small ceremony then, just us. The ocean. Someone to make it legal. That sounds perfect. They found Nessa at the kitchen making coffee, still on her video call. She looked up as they entered, saw Alina's ring, and her eyes went wide. Hold on, she said to her laptop. My sister just got engaged. I'll call you back. She ended the call and launched herself at Alina, hugging her so hard they both stumbled. Oh my God. When? How? Tell me everything. Just now, on the beach. He had a ring. Alina was laughing, crying, overwhelmed. We're getting married. Obviously. Let me see the ring. Nessa grabbed Alina's hand, examining the diamond. This is gorgeous. Cassian, you have good taste. I have excellent taste, Cassian corrected. I chose your sister, didn't I? Nessa rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. Okay, that was smooth. I'll give you that. She looked between them, her expression softening. I'm happy for you, both of you. You've been through hell and you came out the other side together. That means something. It means everything, Alina said. They spent the evening planning, or rather, Nessa planned while Alina and Cassian contributed occasional suggestions. Small ceremony on the beach, sunset, just the three of them and whoever Cassian could find to officiate. What about Ronan? Nessa asked. Shouldn't he be here? Cassian shook his head. Ronan's got his hands full running things in Chicago. Better he stays there. Safer for everyone. Do you miss it? Alina asked quietly. The power? The control? Cassian considered the question seriously. Sometimes. Late at night when I can't sleep, I think about what I built, what I walked away from. But then I look at you sleeping beside me and I remember why I left. This, he gestured around the kitchen, at Nessa making coffee, at the ocean visible through the windows. This is worth more than any empire. No regrets? Only that I didn't do it sooner. He pulled her close. Should have walked away the day I found you crying in my closet. Should have known then that you were the most important thing I'd ever have. You weren't ready then. Maybe not, but I'm ready now. He kissed her softly. Ready for all of it. Marriage, family, whatever comes next. They got married 3 weeks later at sunset on the beach. Nessa stood as witness. The officiant was a local justice of the peace who didn't ask questions and didn't care about their past. Alina wore a simple white dress she'd found in a boutique in town. Cassian wore linen pants and a white shirt, barefoot in the sand. They exchanged vows they'd written themselves, promises about choosing each other every day, about building something beautiful from the ashes of their old lives, about love that survived basements and bullets and blood. When the justice pronounced them married, Cassian kissed her like they were the only two people in the world. Maybe they were. Maybe this beach, this moment, this new life, was its own universe where the past didn't exist and the future was theirs to write. That night, they made love in their bedroom with the windows open and the ocean singing. Slow and tender, relearning each other in this new context. Husband and wife, partners, forever. Afterward, Alina lay in Cassian's arms, her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. I'm pregnant, she said. Cassian went very still. What? I'm pregnant. About 8 weeks, I found out yesterday. She tilted her head to look at him. I was going to wait to tell you, make it romantic, but I can't keep secrets from you anymore. For a long moment, Cassian didn't speak. Then his hand moved to rest on her stomach, spread wide over where their child was growing. You're sure? His voice was rough with emotion. 3 tests, all positive. How do you feel about it? Alina thought about it, really thought. Terrified, excited, overwhelmed, happy. She covered his hand with hers. How do you feel? Like I'm going to be a father. Wonder colored his voice. Like we're creating a life that has nothing to do with violence or pain. Like maybe this is what redemption looks like. You don't need redemption. Maybe not. But our kid does need parents who'll love them and protect them and make sure they never have to live the way we did. He pulled her closer. I can do that. We can do that. Yeah, Alina whispered. We can. They fell asleep tangled together, and for the first time in either of their lives, neither of them had nightmares. But months passed. Alina's belly grew. Nessa excelled in her marine biology program, making friends and building a life that had nothing to do with their father's debts or kidnappings or men with guns. Cassian transformed. The hard edges softened. The constant vigilance eased. He took up woodworking, building furniture for the baby's room with his scarred hands. He laughed more. Relaxed. Became someone Alina suspected had always existed under the armor, just waiting for safety enough to emerge. They had checkups at the local hospital, bought baby clothes, argued good-naturedly about names. Cassian wanted something strong. Alina wanted something soft. They compromised on both, keeping the final choice secret until the baby was born. Ronan called once a month with updates from Chicago. Things were stable. The transition had been clean. Nobody was looking for Cassian or asking questions about where he'd gone. You really did it, Ronan said during one call. You got out. We got out, Cassian corrected, looking at Alina across the room. All of us. How's the quiet life treating you? Better than I expected. Better than I deserve. You deserve it, boss. You earned it. A pause. I'm happy for you. For all of you. Take care of yourself, Ronan. You too. The call ended. Cassian set down the phone and returned to where Alina was organizing baby clothes, his hand automatically finding her swollen belly. Still kicking? He asked. Constantly. I think we're having a soccer player. Or a fighter. He kissed her temple. Either way, they're going to be extraordinary. They're going to be loved. That's all that matters. Alina went into labor on a Tuesday morning in early spring. The contractions started slow, barely noticeable. By noon, they were undeniable. Cassian drove her to the hospital with Nessa in the back seat, both of them trying to stay calm and failing spectacularly. Breathe, Cassian kept saying. I am breathing, Alina gasped. You breathe. I am breathing. Breathe better. Nessa laughed despite her nerves. You two are ridiculous. 14 hours later, at 2:47 a.m., their daughter was born. She came into the world screaming, pink and perfect, and impossibly tiny. The nurse placed her on Alina's chest, and everything else fell away. Cassian stood beside the bed, tears streaming down his face, staring at his daughter like she was a miracle. She's perfect, he whispered. She's absolutely perfect. What's her name? The nurse asked. Alina looked at Cassian. He looked back. They'd agreed on this months ago, but saying it aloud made it real. Hope, Alina said softly. Her name is Hope. Because that's what she was. Hope that they could leave violence behind. Hope that love could overcome trauma. Hope that broken people could build something whole. Cassian took his daughter in his arms for the first time, cradling her with infinite gentleness. She stopped crying, looking up at him with eyes that would eventually turn the same gray as his. Hello, Hope, he murmured. I'm your dad. I've done terrible things, hurt people, lived a life I'm not proud of. But I promise you, I swear to you, I will spend every day of the rest of my life making sure you never have to be afraid, that you never have to fight the way your mother and I did. You're going to have everything we didn't, safety, love, a childhood that doesn't hurt. Alina reached up, taking his hand. We're going to give her the world. Better than the world. Cassian looked at her, his eyes bright. We're going to give her a home. 6 months after Hope was born, Alina woke early to find Cassian already up, standing on the porch with their daughter in his arms. The sun was just rising, painting the ocean in shades of pink and gold. She joined them, wrapping her arms around Cassian from behind, looking over his shoulder at Hope's sleeping face. What are you thinking about? She asked. The closet, he said. 8 months you worked for me before that night. 8 months I watched you and wanted you, and told myself I could never have you. Then I found you crying into my suits, and everything changed. Everything, Alina agreed. If I could go back to that moment, knowing everything that would happen, all the pain and fear and violence, I'd still open that door, I'd still hold you, I'd still fall in love with you. He turned to look at her. Because it led here. To this. To us. No regrets? Not a single one. He kissed her softly. You're the best thing that ever happened to me, Alina Rourke. You and Hope, and this life we built from nothing. Not from nothing, from choice. Alina laid her head on his shoulder. Every day we choose this. Choose each other. That's what makes it real. Hope stirred in Cassian's arms, making small sounds. He rocked her gently, murmuring nonsense, and she settled back to sleep. I love you, Alina said. I don't say it enough. You say it every day. Every time you look at me. Every time you trust me with our daughter. Every time you choose to stay. Cassian's voice was rough with emotion. I love you too. More than I have words for. They stood there as the sun rose, a family built from broken pieces and impossible choices. The ocean whispered against the shore. Hope slept peacefully. And for the first time in their lives, both Alina and Cassian felt something they'd never expected. Complete. The past was behind them, buried in a Chicago closet where everything began. The future stretched ahead, full of possibility and promise, and the certain knowledge that whatever came, they'd face it together. 3 years later, Nessa graduated with honors. She stood on stage accepting her degree in marine biology, while Alina and Cassian cheered from the audience with Hope between them, clapping her tiny hands. 5 years later, they had a son, named him Thomas, after no one in particular, just a name they both loved. He had Alina's dark hair and Cassian's stubborn chin. 7 years later, Cassian sold his last remaining business interest in Chicago, severed the final tie to his old life, put the money in trust funds for Hope and Thomas. 10 years later, they renewed their vows on the same beach where they'd married. Nessa officiated, now married herself with a daughter of her own. Hope and Thomas stood as witnesses, solemn and proud. 10 years, Cassian said during his vows. 10 years since I found you crying in my closet. 10 years since you saved my life by letting me save yours. I'd live all of it again. Every bullet, every scar, every moment of fear, just to end up here. With you. With our children. With this life we chose. Alina's vows were simpler. You taught me that broken people can heal, that love is a choice we make every day, that monsters can become men and men can become fathers, and none of it matters as much as who we choose to be. She touched his face gently. I choose you every day, forever. No regrets. No regrets, Cassian echoed. They kissed while their children cheered and the ocean sang and the sun set on another perfect day. That night, after the kids were asleep and Nessa had left with her family, Alina and Cassian sat on their porch drinking wine and watching the stars. Do you ever miss it? Alina asked. The power? The adrenaline? Cassian thought about it seriously. Sometimes I miss the certainty, knowing exactly who I was and what I was capable of. But then I remember that version of me was alone, angry, building walls so high nobody could reach me. He took her hand. This version gets to wake up next to you, gets to teach his daughter to swim and his son to build things, gets to be human. I'll take that over power any day, even on the hard days, especially on the hard days. He pulled her closer. Because the hard days we face together, and that makes all the difference. Alina rested her head on his shoulder, feeling the steady beat of his heart. I love our life. Me too. Think we made it? Think we're really free? Cassian looked out at the ocean, at the house behind them where their children slept safely, at the life they'd built from the ashes of who they used to be. Yeah, he said finally, I think we made it. And sitting there under the stars with the woman he loved and the family they'd created, Cassian Rourke, former crime lord, killer, broken man, finally felt something he'd spent his entire life chasing: peace. Years later, when Hope was old enough to ask questions, Alina told her the story. Not all of it, not the worst parts, but enough. She told her about a woman who worked for a dangerous man and fell in love despite knowing better. About a sister who was taken and a fight to get her back. About choices made in basements and on beaches. About bullets and blood, and refusing to die afraid. She told her about a man who walked away from an empire because love mattered more than power. And she told her about a closet. A moment when everything changed, when a perfect secretary broke down and a ruthless man proved he was capable of tenderness. That's where we started, Alina said, holding her daughter close. In a closet, with tears and expensive suits and a man who saw me when I thought I was invisible. That's romantic, Hope said. It's messy, Alina corrected. But sometimes the best things are. Cassian joined them, carrying Thomas on his shoulders. What are we talking about? How you and Mom met. Ah, the closet story. He set Thomas down and sat beside them. Your mother was the bravest person I'd ever met. Broke down in the one place she thought was private. And instead of hiding it or lying about it, she let me help her. You held her, Hope said. She'd heard this story before, loved it, every time. I did, and she let me. That took courage. Cassian looked at Alina, his eyes soft. Still does. Every day she chooses to trust me, to build this life with me, to believe I'm worth loving. That's courage. You are worth loving, Alina said firmly, then and now and always. They sat together as the sun set, a family built from impossible choices and refusing to let darkness win. And in the fading light, Alina thought about the woman she'd been, terrified, alone, breaking down in a closet. That woman would never have believed this was possible. Would never have imagined she'd marry the dangerous man who found her crying. Would never have dreamed of children and peace and a love that survived everything the world threw at it. But here they were. Broken pieces made whole. Monsters made human. love that saved them both. And standing there with Cassian's arms around her and their children at their feet, and the ocean singing its endless song, Alina Voss, now Alina Rourke, finally understood something fundamental. The day she broke down in that closet wasn't the end of her life. It was the door to everything that mattered, and she'd walk through it again in a heartbeat.